Next on America's Day at the Races, it's the second half of the Friday card from New York City's racetrack at Aqueduct. In the feature from the Big A, Curlin's Wisdom has won 4 of his last 6. He's in career form, coming off the best speed figure he's ever posted. We'll also take you out to Hot Springs, Arkansas for action from Oaklawn Park. Older horses battle it out in their featured 9th race, where Dono Twist tries to make it 3 straight trips to the winner's circle at his 3rd different track over that span. And the Derby Trail picks back up Saturday from right here in New York. We'll preview Arctic Arrogance and his chances to top the field in the Jerome. All that and more coming up on this Friday edition of America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, for the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net today. Sloppy racetrack here at Aqueduct as we get set for the late pick 4, about 20 minutes away from the start of it. We'll set the stage in a moment. Greg Wolf alongside New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. Excited to see that Jerome tomorrow. Points on the line to get into that starting gate for the Kentucky Derby.
I agree. We had a little bit of Derby fever last week. We saw a nice performance to Smarty Jones at Oaklawn. Time to get things going here. Now, whether or not these are Derby horses, well, who knows? And who really knows who can emerge? And it'd be interesting to see these horses go forward. And also, Greg, it's nice to have you back. Happy New Year. And it's good to have you back in your normal seat.
Yeah, I've been gone for a while. Feels strange. It's very nice to be back. Glad to see everybody as well. So thanks for tuning in today. My first show of the year. And we got our colleague, and we're going to check in here in just a minute with out at Oaklawn, Paul Lo Duca, as we get set for the 3rd race coming up. 3rd race from Hot Springs, 6 furlong sprint. State bred race, $10,000 claiming group. They have a couple of really competitive sprints later on in the card as well, which we'll have live coverage of. Right now, let's go live to Hot Springs. Check in with Paul Lo Duca. Hey, Paulie.
Hey, what's going on, Gregor? Happy New Year to you as well. I know you've been away for a little while, but a good time to be away because I know much hard work you put in. Andy, as you as well. Happy New Year. A good card today, guys. A 9-race card. And we got a nice little field. Florent Giroux is in town to ride a horse for Brad Cox, knock her down first time in his barn a little bit later on. And then Nobody Listens is going to be the favorite in the feature today. We also got the Pippin tomorrow, but let's get to race number 3 here. So far in the early pick 5, we've had a favorite in the first race, and then in the last race we did have a Lindsey Schultz runner beat the Brad Cox runner on the outside, who was your 6-5 favorite. Now in this race 3, I thought was very tricky. You know, the 2, Taylor B. Swift and Proud Victoria, are taking a lot of money. You know, the Broberg horse took a lot of money in the last race and almost got the score until the 3 sort of ran underneath them. The 8 Richness has a lot of speed in here coming off the shelf. She's a 5-year-old mare that does like to win. She's one of those horses that's just either win or bust. She's 3 for 7 lifetime with no placings. And she's got to try to get to the front end, I guess, but there's so much speed in here. I thought the 10 was interesting at 5-1. Greg, this race was really, really tough. I'll land on the 10 just on the price. I think they're going to go fast up front. We'll see what happens late.
Paulie, thanks. Yeah, he brought up Richness, Andy, who's the 2-1 favorite. She's a question mark. I mean, she has those 2 races, January at Oaklawn, that make her absolutely the one to beat, but she's off a long layout.
It's funny. I remembered her name. I'm like, I remember this horse from last year because she exploded that big win at 40-1 and then came back to the big race. But, man, it's tough to take a short price on a horse that has been out in 10 months.
Coming out of a stakes race. That's the last time we saw her. That was all the way back in early March. She's the 2-1 favorite from Post 8 with Chelsea Bailey. Vikstoff for the call, 3rd from Oaklawn to kick off our Friday coverage here on FS2.
Last to load, Truly a Rocket. They're at the post. They're off. Taylor B. Swift broke well, so did Wicked Street. Awkward start for Truly a Rocket, but she's close up. So is Richness in the mix. Proud Victoria's at the rail. 5 Queens is next. The 3 trailers are Hales Angel, Flowers for Chantel, and Courtney Fay. A scramble on into the far turn. Taylor B. Swift just in front. Richness is trying to split horses and take over second. Cruisin' Rocket is 5 wide. Wicked Street's just inside of her. Then comes Proud Victoria. Then it's 3 back to Hales Angel and Flowers for Chantel with 5 Queens. The trailer is still Courtney Fay, and the leader is still Taylor B. Swift. Taylor B. Swift just ahead in front. between horses Richness and 3 wide Cruisin' Rocket. These are the 3, and now Richness puts her head in front. Cruisin' Rocket tries to go with her as Taylor B. Swift has dropped back now. She's a length from the lead, top of the stretch. Cruisin' Rocket and Richness, and they'll match stride, and Richness is a neck in front. Cruisin' Rocket trying to outfinish her, but Richness is strong now past mid-stretch, and she leads by a full length. Cruisin' Rocket is second. Taylor B. Swift is third. Richness is clear now, and she looks like she's got it. It's Richness from Cruisin' Rocket and Taylor B. Swift. Richness in front. Richness beat Cruisin' Rocket by 2 3/4. Taylor B. Swift was second. Then came Proud Victoria and maybe 5 Queens.
5-year-old debut for this mare Richness. She was in good position early under Chelsea Bailey. She was much the best.
She was. It felt like the number 10 horse, Truly a Rocket, ranging up on the outside, might have the best of her into the stretch, but Richness just flicked her off and won quite easily. 10-month layoff meant nothing to Richness. She looked good.
She did. That's a 4th win of her career in 8 starts. She's now won 3 of her last 4. The only defeat over that span in a stakes race at Oaklawn.
And you love the Archie Breds. I wanted you to know that I felt particularly bad you weren't here the other day because Garhole returned to victory. And I even commented Lafitte that it was sad you weren't here because he's one of your favorite horses. And, you know, it is funny. It's easy to have a bit of an affinity for some of the state breds when you see them and you remember them a little bit. And I think last year we had a chance to get more familiar with some of the state breds like Garhole and even this horse Richness.
Yeah, he was a good story at that meet last year. We'll see what stories emerge this year. Richness, your winner as the favorite. We'll have the prices in a moment. Later today, featured Aqueduct finale on the card, race 9, 1-turn mile, this allowance optional claiming race. And two faces get reunited in here in I Am the Law, Curlin's Wisdom. They were 1-2 when they met back on December 2nd.
And I think some people remember this race and the 8th race today were both races that were supposed to be run last Saturday when we canceled midway. And it lost one of the players, No Burn, who was supposed to be running that day, and he was going to run, but he scratched out of today's race. I Am the Law. This was a very aggressive ride by Joel Rosario, but he doesn't really have the speed necessarily at a mile. And it'll be interesting to see if he's as effective. But a very good effort by him. Curlin's Wisdom came back from this race, came back with a victory. He's a major player on the outside.
Much better miler, you think, Curlin's Wisdom?
I think he's better to mile. I agree. I think that'll make a difference. And I wonder if I Am the Law will be as proficient at a mile. But this was far and away the best race that I Am the Law has ever run. And he does seem to be a horse that's improving for John Terranova.
Another horse that you maybe can make the argument is a much better miler. Win It for John Kimmel.
I agree, and I do like Win It. I scratched into it when No Burn came out. The concern with Win It, and I totally agree with you, he's a better miler, he's got to get out of the gate. You just can't keep compromising yourself at the start, and as the going gets tougher, it becomes an even bigger problem when you get left, and he just is sluggish out of the gate every single time. But if he can break sharply, he'd be the horse to beat.
Going to close out this Friday card with that race. It is a good one, that 9th on the card, that rematch between the two we just talked about there. I Am the Law and Curlin's Wisdom, but some other talented runners in there. I thought Manor House, a horse who has some talent too. We'll see if he can step up. He's been very inconsistent though. Today's action brought to you by Claiborne Farm. Take a look at what lies ahead. Races 6 through 9, that late pick 4 here in New York on the sloppy going fast at Oaklawn. Races 4 through 9 to come, and we'll bring you race 9 as well. From Tampa Bay on the lawn, that $16,000 claiming race. You play it all with Naira Bets. Get signed up, started. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with that offer, that $200 deposit match sign-up bonus when you punch in that code for new members, match 200. And take advantage of that offer at NairaBets.com. All right, let's get into this pick 4. We're inside of 15 minutes to post. New York bred, $40,000 claiming race, 6.5 furlong sprints. And currently it's the 5 who is favored, dropping out of a tougher state-bred maiden special for start number 2.
I like East Coast Girl quite a bit in this race. First time out, this horse didn't break and moved up pretty facilely to make the lead in there. But then just couldn't keep up with what were a better bunch of horses. And Jose Ortiz basically just eased up on the horse. The horse would not have lost by 24 lengths. And he didn't do it. The horse was hopelessly beaten. Gets Lasix, maybe an issue with that. And blinkers on. And lost to a very good horse in Marikai and General Banker, who came back with a stakes win. I think today, with a clean break, East Coast Girl is going to wire this field.
Right now, 3-1 favorite. There she is, start number 2, getting considerably easier company, as you talked about. And that was a talented New York-bred maiden special weight field she had to go up against in her debut. Well, the post parade for you to kick off this pick 4 when we come back.
Whether it's Division I or Grade 1, top athletes have certain traits in common. Speed, strength, class, versatility, and most of all, willpower. Claiborne Farm Stallion, War of Will, was a Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf. Now, his first foals are taking the field.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage of America's Day at the Races. It is brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. 9 minutes away from race 6. It kicks off this late pick 4 on our Friday card. Again, 6.5 furlong sprint for New York Breds. $40,000 maiden claiming group. The horse that we showed you going to break the 5, East Coast Girl, with a drop in class, still is the favorite. As we look at a first-time starter here on the outside of the Big Price Eternal Glory, we bring in Jonathan Kinchin. JK, help us out here to get us started in this pick 4.
Wolfie, I missed you. I'm glad you're back. I like the 5 for a lot of the reasons that Andy mentioned, East Coast Girl. I think if you look down, you see the speed figure, you might go, oof, it's kind of hard to take a horse with this slow of a speed figure as kind of your main pick in here as the favorite. But the thing that you have to understand is when you watch the replay, like Andy mentioned, this horse broke slow and rushed up. Got a very, very fast early pace figure. So you got to think how much energy was used in that early part of that race by spotting the field a couple of lengths and then rushing up against much better horses. A lot of energy was used from her that day. And now she gets blinkers. She gets Lasix. She gets an easier group. Hopefully a better break, and I think she could be long gone in here. And it's you're going to get an okay price. I mean, people aren't cutting in line to bet horses in this situation that are, the 5th or 6th fastest speed figure in a race, that are lightly raced, maiden claimers. I do think East Coast Girl makes a ton of sense in here. If you're playing the pick 4, I wouldn't spend too much money in this race. I would try to just get away with having the 5 in here, East Coast Girl.
All right, JK, thanks. It was mutual. Missed you too. 5-2 favorite on this one. And you talked about Mariachi, who East Coast Girl had to face.
Well, I talked about a different name, but
that's all right. But Mariachi battled Acoustic Ave, who has become a multiple stakes winner.
Yeah, these are very good horses. And if you're going to get into a battle with that kind of quality of horse and you have speed, it's not a good thing to get left and then have to rush up to duel with them. And what I really want to show this replay was, number one, the break, and the fact that this horse didn't come out cleanly and then rushed up to chase. But essentially, once Jose Ortiz, and here he is sort of re-engaging, and he's making another run at them, and these are good horses. Mariachi, as you pointed out to me, not whatever I said the first time. Once Jose realizes that he's not going to be able to compete with them, he does not abuse this horse. And you can see at this point, he's practically easing them even at this stage of the game. In fact, he is. And I'm not saying this horse was going to be part of the Super, because he wasn't. But right now, so you see that margin beaten 24 lengths. it's really not realistic. It's because the rider eased up on him. Quarter to 3/16 pole. I'm going to see a different story today. I think the potential biggest thorn for him could be the two Derek's Medallion, the first start, but he's taking no money. This horse's Dam was a very fast turf sprinter. I believe Jason Service had that horse.
Who also, he was in the mud, but also won on dirt.
But this horse worked a very impressive 10 flat, the 2-year-old sale, which is why the Connections paid that much money for him. On the other hand, it's kind of a little bit scary that not only is he not taking any money on the board, they're running him for 40. They're running him for a third of what they paid for him. On the other hand, it's Michael Dubb. Michael Dubb is somebody that knows very quickly, I don't care what I paid for him, I'm going to have to run him where he has any chance to win. So maybe he's just being realistic at this point because he knows he has a horse that can't win a maiden special weight.
Yeah, I'm glad you picked that out. There's a good chance this horse is quick. Good, yes.
Right.
Speed, sprinting on grass, we know that translates to dirt. And here is the two that Andy was just talking about. So 6-1 on this first-time starter with Kendrick Carmouche from the inside. If the horse does have any speed, he's got to go from that
Got to
post.
go, right. He's got to go with Kendrick. So it'll be interesting to see if he does. And the other thing with Sweet East Coast Girl is we're hoping that she breaks better, or he breaks better today. I don't know why you have a horse named East Coast Girl that's not female. Forgetting about that. I get the sexes wrong regardless of the name.
Make it more difficult for us.
I get it wrong anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I can use that as my excuse in this case.
There's Kendrick.
Don't know that he won't break slowly again. And there's Kendrick getting ready.
He'll be on that first timer, the 2 from the inside post. The 4, Zuka Race, as we see riders coming out to get a leg up here. I thought this horse ran a sneaky okay race in that debut.
I had mixed feelings, to be honest, Greg. I thought he didn't run badly. I wasn't really sure what to say. I don't love the field that he comes out of. And one of the reasons I like East Coast Girl is he comes out of a much better field, but I'm not going to dismiss this horse. He's a very fair price at 7-1 right now. None of the firsters are really taking any money, and I don't particularly like the 1A, Max Foster, who's going to likely be a clear-cut second choice.
And yeah, by the way, the 6, Dam produced horse who won the only start, right, of the career at Saratoga, going to mile 8th with a 90 buyer, the Rachel Alexandra.
Oh, the sire.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sire, Jess's Dream. Now, I don't think Jess's Dream gives you confidence the horse will have speed, but there's 2 foals in the Dam that both ran buyers in the 70s, which in a race like this would make the horse a major factor.
Sorry, did I say the Dam?
Yeah, I was a little confused where you're going.
Dam won actually from 6 furlongs to a mile, a 16th, 3-time winner. Here's the 2, so here's the first timer that gets the rail.
Yeah, and we talked about this horse worked a very impressive 10 flat at the 2-year-old sale.
Babo's Boy, first-time starter.
This horse goes out also for Rudy Rodriguez. He has 2 and not taking any money. A War Dancer, not usually turret horses.
Dam was a 7-time winner. Zuka Race, start number 2.
Horse that you mentioned a little bit, could improve second start.
East Coast Girl, 5-2, favorite.
If you like this horse, you're hoping she breaks cleanly and just bounces out to the lead.
Already got you. He, 5-1, Baron's Legacy, first-timer.
I never get it right anyway. Listen, I always respect Horacio de Paz.
Chasing you, Natalia Lynch gets Lasix.
Yeah, going to need more than Lasix off the dirt races. Just didn't do any running.
Here is the 8, first-time starter for Amir Shashakli.
Amir Shashakli's been pretty, in your absence, his horse has been running. This horse shows 2-mile workouts in the last 3 workouts. Kind of unusual, right?
That is strange. We don't see that move a lot. And we should mention the other half of the entry stays in here. Tater and Tot would have taken plenty of support, but Max Foster was 3rd at this level last start.
Yeah, Tater and Tot's going to try a much tougher field tomorrow, actually. That's why he came out. I don't get Max Foster at all, to be honest with you. I didn't particularly like his races. I mean, the reality is, from a speed figure standpoint, he belongs, and that's why he's taken money. I just think in all likelihood somebody's going to step forward. But he has run fast enough that I understand why he's taking money. I'm just not a big fan. He's going to be lower than 4-1 by post.
There he is in the background, that 1A, the remaining half of the entry. This will be start number 5 for him. Let's head downstairs, check in for the first time this program with Richard Migliori.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. It just kind of sprinkling a little bit again. It looked like it was clearing out, and then the kind of weather came back through, but not bad. The 3-horse Bobo's Boy, first-time starter for Rudy Rodriguez. Boy, he was a handful in the paddock. I mean, he actually went as high in the air as a horse can go without losing his balance, so they had to saddle him on the walk. Looks like he's settled down much better now since he's gotten to the racetrack, been hooked up with the pony. The 4, Zuka Race. This horse, actually, I remember seeing him in his first start. he took a big step forward from his first race. Just looks much fitter to me. Really like his coat. Think he's going to take a big step forward today. The 5 East Coast Girl, a little bit of a confusing name for a Ridgeling. A Ridgeling is a male horse that has one undescended testicle. So East Coast Girl is actually a male. He gets the check mark. I mean, from a looks perspective, he was good in the paddock, terrific on the racetrack. Looks like he was getting over the top of the ground well. Two first-time starters to talk about the 6 Barons Legacy. Horatio DePaz does good work, and this horse looks very fit, very professional. Like the way he warmed up under Manny Franco. And the 8 horse Eternal Glory from Amira Shockley Barn. This horse has 2 one-mile works, and you don't see that very often. Just like those slow, steady 1-mile works. We used to call them the Alan Jerkins miles. So you know this horse is fit, and he acted actually really good on the racetrack. Kind of interesting, a horse breaking from the outside with a lot of foundation from his workout pattern.
All right, Mig, thanks. So some positives for the second-time starter, the 4 Zucker Race, who that debut again at far outside post, got stuck outside, was wide throughout. We'll see if the horse can improve here second time out with Lasix at 7-1. That's who Mig's going to go with. 5's elsewhere is the favorite for both you and JK.
Yeah, I played a small pick 5, and I singled the 5, just more of an action play throughout this. I managed to get the 6-5 home in the first leg, and I think the 5 is going to be very tough to beat. Listen, the 4 has run once and could improve. I didn't think the horse had a particularly bad trip in there, to be honest. Got to the 2 or 3 path, drifted a little bit late into the stretch, but I expected a little bit more, but second-time starters can improve. I just think East Coast Girl showed a lot more against a much better field first time out. On the other hand, he's 2-1, and the 4 is 7-1.
And, you know, another first-time starter that has, we've not talked a lot about that 6, Barron's Legacy. The dam did produce a 12-time winner, produced another runner that actually started out 2 for 2 in his career at Gulfstream Park. So there's some precocity in the pedigree. 2
of the 3 foals in the dam were running buyers in the 70s, and looking at this field, that would make a horse like this competitive. And it's not exactly going to take a Herculean effort to get it done.
No.
I worry, though, a little bit as the Sire Jess's Dream. You're just not likely to bring a lot of speed to the table. Now, we have seen some horses that have made some pretty effective runs from well back, even though speed has done well on today's card. But it has been possible to make runs from far behind. But I think a horse like the 5 East Coast Girl, there's a real chance that he could have a significant pace advantage in here.
Dylan Davis was momentarily off the 1A, got a leg back up, so back aboard Max Foster, who that price has come down. 5-1 down to 3-1 here on the most experienced runner in the field.
Yeah, every start's probably sort of a knock, but in a field like this, when you run 51, 49 buyers, by the very nature of those figures, this horse has to take a lot of money. And, you know, we don't know if the firsters can run. And, I mean, I'm assuming the 5 is a lot better, but obviously he's going to have to show it. I assume he's going to probably be tough. But if he isn't, I guess the 1A can win, though I'm not a fan of the 1A. I put the 2 second. But the lack of finance support at the windows for Derek's Medallion has to be considered a bad sign. And the truth is that Rudy's Barn, while it hasn't been as cold as he was in Saratoga, he hasn't, as of yet, picked it up to the level that we're so accustomed to him winning before that cold run in Saratoga.
Yeah, that was a tough stretch to go through.
But even since then, it's not as though he's had the usual higher percentage barn that he was, because he was a high percentage barn for a long time.
Hot hand today has been Manny Franco. He's on board that first time of the 6, Barron's Legacy. He's looking for his 4th winner on this Friday card. Pick 4 starts here. You see that pool at 87,000 and growing.
You missed the pick 5 carryover yesterday.
I did. Even as I was boarding the flight, I was taking a look at it.
Really?
I was.
Were you able to watch any races on the flight?
No.
Or no?
I was too busy chasing my center on the plane.
Nice.
Trying to keep him calm.
Sure, the other...
we were not popular on the flight.
Yeah, I can imagine, yes. I've experienced having to dislike people who bring their children onto planes. There's nothing you can do, but it's... You know, now you're not the guy when you're sitting in the waiting area and saying, oh, there's a little baby crying. I know that kid's going to be sitting behind me. You can't do that anymore.
Saving grace is he's so cute, most people put up with it. He's still at that young age.
That's your story. You're sticking with it.
A couple more years, and we're going to be hated. There's the 4 stepping in. Zucker Race, start number 2 for that one with Eric Cancel for Chris Engelhardt. And here, this one has been favored throughout, and down to 9-5 now. Shortest he's been.
I'm not surprised. I mean, this is the kind of horse that gets bet. A horse that ran against better horses, a horse that showed speed before tiring. These are the kind of horses that usually take money, and there's a good reason. They frequently do run well.
Chris Griffin, the call. Here's the start of the late pick 4 on this Friday card from Aqueduct.
All in line. All set. And they're off. Step slow. At the start, there was East Coast Girl. Max Foster's got early speed. There's Zuka Race, and Zuka Race now has a neck in front. Max Foster at the rail is Derek's Medallion, who's going to challenge and takes third. In between horses, there's Baron's Legacy. Wants to move forward there, and Baron's Legacy and Manny Franco, they make a quick move, and they have taken third. East Coast Girl was off slowly, is there in fourth, is going to have a wide rally as they approach 4 furlongs left to go. Then comes Chasing You. Dropping back, losing some ground was Derek's Medallion. Towards the tail end of the field, Eternal Glory, and far back right now, Bobo's Boy is the trailer, 22.86 for that opening quarter mile. Max Foster's got the lead. Baron's Legacy has been hard pressed there up the backstretch, but Baron's Legacy is ready to challenge for the lead. East Coast Girl is ranging up 3 wide, is in hand, and here comes the run from East Coast Girl. 3 across the racetrack as they approach a quarter mile left to go. 46-1 for that half-mile time. They are still 3 across the track as Max Foster hasn't gone away. East Coast Girl is in the 3 path there, in between horses. Baron's Legacy as they approach 1/8 of a mile to go. Baron's Legacy is game in between horses. East Coast Girl is trying to run by them both. Max Foster is down towards the inside and continues to battle on. Baron's Legacy now stretches out the margin, is up by a full length. Max Foster is still there in second. Baron's Legacy, Franco having a big day. It's Baron's Legacy over Max Foster. Then came East Coast Girl in a photo. Eternal Glory with Zuka Race in 1 minute 19.50 seconds.
4th win this afternoon for Manny Franco and the first-time starter Baron's Legacy. Poor beginning for the favorite.
Great day for Manny Franco, obviously, and this horse had a lot more speed than I think you would have expected. A horse from Jess's dream to have, and a nice win for them, and congrats to Connections and Horacio De Paz. Quite obviously, the 5, East Coast Girl, was the best horse in the race. Completely and totally blew the break. Blew it much more worse than the first time out, and we mentioned that. Very often when they break a little slow, they're more professional the second time, but not always. Obviously, if she broke cleanly, she would have galloped in here. She would have been clear. She wouldn't have had to rush up, and she would have won for fun. But she didn't. She didn't break. If she had broken, it would have been a different race. But she didn't, and she gave a hint her first time that that was a possibility.
8-1 on Baron's Legacy. We talked about that precocity in the pedigree. The hot hand today with Manny Franco somehow escaped it enough. The horse was 9-2 morning line.
Yeah, you see Jess's dream, a little bit hard to take that kind of sire. He hasn't had really any success as a stallion. Going 6 furlongs, the best thing going, obviously 6.5, was Horacio De Paz, who can be dangerous with firsters. At the end of the day, this horse should have run well and finished second, but the 5 should have won, but the 5 didn't get out of the gate.
6-1A, 5-4 compromise beginning for the favorite, and it was costly. But a first-time starter runs very good. First time out at one point was in a tough position between horses, too.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it helped that the 5 had gotten left because that horse looms on the outside and he's hanging. Well, of course he's hanging because he had to do so much extra work just to get to that position. If he had broken, he would have been 3 in front, and they ought to have been working behind him. But that's the way the race played out.
4th race at Oaklawn, 6 furlongs, $30,000 maiden claiming group in this spot, and it's Color Field. Dropping to the lowest level he has run at yet in career start number 6. Who's the 5-2 favorite? Let's go to Paul Duca.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I am sitting, or actually standing, in front of the Mainline Sports Bar here that they just actually got finished. When I walked in here in opening day, they were just finishing this up. And as you can see right behind me, there is football games all over the place, basketball as well. You can also play a little bit of horses on the side here as well, drinks and food. It's actually absolutely beautiful because when you walk straight out, you're kind of to the left and you're basically right by the winner's circle or by the finish line. So this has basically been brand new, great food as well, and a great addition here to Oaklawn Park. A lot of guys firing on sports and horses. Race number 4 here. Color Field, I thought was going to be a heavy favorite in here for Tom Amoss. But this horse was opened up at 6-1, now starting to drop down to 5-2. When you look at the 10 in here, Kate GT 500, that horse has been taking a lot of money. A horse that had been ridden by Chelsea Belly before and dropped for 30, but not much. But when you look at Colorfield, I see Giant Mischief. I didn't see anything around, him to get beat besides maybe one of the first-time starters, and that would be the 3 for me, Sparkin for Chelsea Belly. That horse has taken a lot of money, and I think Chelsea had a pick between maybe the 3 or the 10 in here, and I think this horse got a pedigree by El Deal. So, I'm going to go in here, the 3 and the 5, and as Sarah swings back over to me, I just want to let you know, Greg, you've been away for a while. I know you haven't been, but if you come to Oaklawn Casino, all you got to do is go right there to the simulator. Sarah, show them. Work on that golf swing, Wolfie. Let's go. We can work on the golf swing together. Come on out here. They got the simulators, or we can see if you throw over 90 miles an hour.
I like the 9 here.
Oh, count me in. I actually was able to get back on the links for the first time in a while when I was on my trip away, so I got the fire back.
Big golf around Christmas time over in England.
It was a little muddy, but it was good to get out there.
I just want to say I like the 9 here at Oakland Park, the second-time starter, who I thought had an interesting trip first time out and was shut off at the start and had to rush up. So I think the 9 is a very interesting horse at a bit of a price at Oakland.
Yeah, showed some speed in that debut. Back to that 3 Paul was talking about, that the significant money on the 3 Sparkin.
I
was
agree.
15-1, yeah. Morning line, 4-1 now.
El Deal, who started out here with trainer Andrew Lakeman, and he eventually ended up winning, or I think Jorge Navarro had him. He won the Vanderbilt.
And you have the 1 as well taking money. 20-1 morning line first time starter at 5-1. Blame it.
Yeah, you're right. A Blame. Blame has been on fuego.
And there's, I guess, really that one race, right, from Colorfield that stands out, the 62 buyer, but it was at Indiana, Horseshoe Indy at 5.5, and which there was the next out winner. But the other races don't really excite you that much, do they?
Had a lot of chances, no. And I'll tell you something, he's dropping, and that's why people like him. Tom Amos's numbers at Oaklawn are nowhere near as good as his numbers at other tracks. He's been at around $1 ROI there the last 5 years. I think he's weighing around 13%. And those are not Tom Amos-like numbers. He just stepped his game up at Oaklawn a little bit.
Hoping to have a big impact on the 3-year-old scene this year. Of course, Hoosier Philly.
Yep.
And Curly Jack.
You missed Tom. Tom said she had a lot of inert speed. I'm never going to let him live that down.
I love creating words that don't exist. I'm a fan.
What exists, his word is innate. He knew I was going to bury him the second he said it. But she is obviously a very promising horse, I imagine, and 9 horse I like. Just took a pop down to 5-1. I imagine we'll see her at Fairgrounds, as she tries to get ready for the Kentucky Oaks. I don't know how quickly Tom is looking to get her back to the races. But, we do know, and we could ask.
He believes she's the most talented horse he has ever had.
He forgot about Serengeti Empress awfully quickly.
This Kentucky Oaks winner, Ballerino winner. I mean, that is high praise.
Nothing like loyalty in this game.
She will always have a special place in Tom's heart.
Not so special, apparently, anymore. 2 years later, he's already calling some horse that won 3 races with slow buyers better than her.
We will see how it plays out.
She had, I had forgotten. The Serengeti Empress won, the Iroquois at Churchill as a 2-year-old by, 18 lengths or something. So she was pretty good, too, as a 2-year-old. Apparently not as good
we saw her
as
at Saratoga. She didn't get out of the gate well, and she just didn't do much. And then went to Ellis, and all of a sudden romped and put herself on the map.
Well, I think it's pretty clear. Tom was in Saratoga, and he had an assistant in Ellis. And I think it's pretty clear the assistant turned the horse around. Not really sure if that's really surprising. That's right. She had a big win at Ellis. You're right.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the meet, yeah. That's right. I had sort of forgotten about her 2-year-old year, and I was looking it up when Tom was declaring Hoosier Philly the greatest horse of all time.
But one that Tom picked out as well at the sale, Serengeti.
And already he's just dismissing her as very ordinary because he's got this filly in his barn. So what have you done for me lately, world, It really is.
There's his 5, Colorfield, who tried maiden special, first 4 starts of his career, then dropped in for 50, Now it's down to 30 here at Oaklawn. From Horseshoe Indy to Churchill to Hot Springs. And we'll see if today's the day. Rafael Bejarano will be aboard. And that 3 still taking significant support for the debut here, Sparkin. With Chelsea Bailey for Al Cates. Vic Stoff for the call. Here's race 4 from Oaklawn.
The sun always shines at Oaklawn. Color Field goes in. Last to load, GT 500. They're at the post. They're off. Good start for Storm Approaching and Mallory's Big Boy. Uptown Social and GT 500 are close. Then comes Colorfield, Blame It, Sparkin, and the trailer is Florit. Up the backstretch with Storm Approaching, joined by Uptown Social. Here's Uptown Social to challenge. They're only a neck in front of GT 500. The outside 3 are right across the track. Colorfield races in 4th, climbing into the dirt just a bit, but traveling okay. 2.5 from the front. Then it's a length to Mallory's Big Boy, 3.5 back to Sparkin and Blame It, and Florit is 12 lengths behind, 3 across the racetrack. Uptown Social, Storm Approaching, and GT 500. They are matching strides. They are now 5 lengths clear of Colorfield. Then comes Mallory's Big Boy, 5 back to Sparkin and Florit. Blame It is the trailer. The 3-horse battle up front is 2 now, and it's GT 500 and Storm Approaching. They match strides, and they're 2.5 in front of Colorfield. Has a chance to run them both down, and he's coming on well. So Storm Approaching and GT 500 are still right together. Colorfield now only a length behind, and he might be the one. Storm Approaching, Colorfield catching. Storm Approaching, Colorfield's got him. Colorfield in front. Colorfield beats Storm Approaching. GT 500 was 3rd, and Sparkin finished 4th.
Colorfield favorite, class dropper for Tom Amoss. From off the pace for the win.
Well, I think as we saw in the last race at Aqueduct, you don't always have to be the best horse to win a race. Just absolutely inherited a tremendous trip under Rafael Bejarano. You got the 8, 9, and 10 all dueling. My 9-horse dueled between horses, as we talked about. Not an easy thing to do. He put away the other speeds, but Colorfield sitting in the right spot, the catbird seat, and Tom Amoss gets it done.
7-5 favorite in the end, and you could tell mid-stretch. I mean, this horse was making up a lot of ground, did get a setup, but going best of anybody late for the win. And career start number 6, Son of Mastery, breaks his maiden for Tom Amoss. Well, the price is for you when we come back. We're going to take a timeout, get to the 5th from Oaklawn when we return to kick off their late pick 5. It's Colorfield in the 4th for Mr. 4000, Tom Amoss.
$300,000, 275, EDF 275,000, 75, but to get 75, 275,000, 250, I'm Ralph now, 250,000, able to get $200,000.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Nairo Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Nairo Bets.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
You don't have to be a multi-millionaire to get into this game. You can have a few $1,000s and have fun with it, but with the bonds, you're actually going to win. I've had the opportunity to win multiple races. In fact, this year won 2 times in one day, which is almost unheard of to be able to do. This is going to happen with them. You will get into the winner's circle in Saratoga. You will walk that horse in, and you will stand there, look at the crowd, and the bonds will take you there and get you into that winner's circle, and it won't cost you a lot of money.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage of America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by NYRA Bets, where you can play all the action. Go to NYRABets.com. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. And there's your winner. What a day for Manny Franco. 4 wins on this Friday card as he wins on the first-timer Barron's Legacy.
He's not impossible in the 7th race with the horse on the rail. He's very live in the 8th race with Can't Hurry Love. And let's see what he's got in the last. Bourbon Calling, a bit of a price, but he could win 1 or 2 more races. Big day for Manny. Pretty good rider. Had a good year as well.
First-time starter by Jess's Dream. Wins the debut, and for a little while, right out of the turn, it got a little tight for this horse. But able to keep on going. Obviously, that poor beginning from East Coast Girls we talked about compromised that one's chances. And 8-1 opening things up if you are still alive in the late Pick 5.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised they didn't take another look at the start in East Coast Girl, but they did not, and the race was official. She finished 3rd in there. And Oaklawn, Tom Amoss in the garden spot.
Keeping a running count of his career total and wins?
Can he really possibly get to 5,000? I mean, it just doesn't seem possible.
He's got a good 20 to 30 years left in him, right?
He's pretty old, though, isn't he? I mean, he's got to be deep in his 60s by now, right?
Color Field for Tom Amoss, the win from off the pace in 3rd right now, soon to be 1st.
Yeah, got that perfect trip. There's nothing you like better than not just 2 horses, but 3 dueling around the track, and the one who was between horses, putting them away, and just in the garden spot, able to pick up the pieces. A very tough beat for the 2nd place.
Shout out, too, to owner here. Aaron Haberman used to work with Aaron back in the day. Good
Really?
job. Owned by Sandra New as well. Mastery Colt, maiden breaking win start, number 6, $4.80 for the victory. Storm approaching GT 500, 2nd and 3rd.
Gets the win, dropping down and start number 6.
All right, back to New York, 7th race. Approaching the 11-minute mark to post here. 1 turn mile, New York Breds, allowance optional claiming field. And a couple of horses on the board at 7-2, including the 9, Baltazar, for the James Bond barn, who started out 2 for 2 and then got beat in the mud going a mile and 1/8, going to cut back in distance.
Yeah, I have no idea why this horse is favored here. Looking at doubles, advanced strategy, more likely to be favored by post time. I didn't get Baltazar.
We'll talk more through this field post-parade when we come back. Stick with us. You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2.
Every hair, every muscle, every contour, every pulse. In the Juvenile.
Essential Quality have won.
In the Belmont.
Essential Quality has won the Belmont Stakes.
Well named.
Oh, you did?
We are back on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Far corner. You can see us.
Yeah. I see you. I can see you. No, I did. I saw you. Yeah, you look sharp.
The 7th race, 1-turn mile. Again, New York breds. This allowance optional claiming field. Still favoritism to Baldassar on the outside, the 9. Let's head downstairs to Richard Migliori.
Yeah, guys, I think this is a really tough race to handicap, and we'll talk about horses purely from a physical perspective before I watch them warm up on the track. The 1 Wild Banker coming off a nice victory. Looks terrific, carries good weight. Horses that come off of hard efforts, sometimes you look for them maybe to regress a little bit physically. I don't see any of that with the 1 Wild Banker. Same with the 3 Full Moon Fever, really well turned out for trainer Mark Hennig. And to me, it looks like he might have even taken a step forward off of that big win last time under Kendrick Carmouche, where I thought he made a long, extended run. Again, physically, really checking the boxes for me. Then we'll head towards the outside, and starting with the 7 Bourbon Bay, coming off a big victory where he showed much improved speed and went gate to wire in the mud. Another one looks like off a big effort, came out of the race in good order. And the 8 6%, he might get the paddock check mark for me, just from a physical perspective. Really checking all the boxes. Love the way his coat looks, love the weight he's carrying, and just like the way he's acting here for trainer Jeremiah Englehart. So I'm going to watch them warm up before I make any hard and fast decisions here, guys, but those are the 4 that really kind of stood out to me in the paddock.
All right, Mig, thanks. We'll check back and see who he decides to settle on coming up as we take a look at Sundays with Sandy, one of a couple in here for Rudy Rodriguez. Beaten favorite last time out in the mud.
Yeah, I thought he was about as ridiculous a favor as I've ever seen. I'm still trying to figure out where his race came from 2 races back, because it's completely dichotomous to any race he's ever run before. He was a big price that day, and he just sort of ran shockingly well in there. Now, obviously, if he was able to run back to the race he ran 2 back, he would have a chance in here. The problem is what we call a 1-number horse. He's never been that effective in any possible way. You know, winning an off-the-turf race against Timbuktu and then winning that dirt race. I don't get him at all, but he did run a big race last time out, and it was a sealed track like today's.
Couple of horses Mig talked about really caught his eye in the paddock. One of them, the 3, Full Moon Fever, 5-1 right now for Mark Hennig. Horse who won last time out has actually won 3 of his last 5 starts.
Yeah, now listen, if you like him at 5-1, he might be a decent enough play. He's a horse that I don't like at all. He got a good trip last time out. Horses that he beat had wider trips, not that they had terrible trips. But I think it's important to note that Simply came back yesterday, and he was part of a 3-5 entry. But what the public perceived to be the lesser half of the entry won was actually not the lesser half. And he ran a very mediocre 3rd. I think this is a race where that 87 buyer, which sticks out a bit like a sore thumb for Full Moon Fever, it's not that it was wrong for the times that day. I just don't believe in the horses that ran it. And I think the fact that Simply ran the race he did yesterday makes me not like this horse. It's a big step up in class. These horses are a lot better.
See if he can do it again. He had been at Finger Lakes, where 2 of those other of his 3 wins came, but came to this circuit, stepped up, proved he could do it. And now 5-1. Mig liked his appearance, but the one who caught his eye the best was 6%, the 8, as we see riders get a leg up. There's Manny Franco. Can he make it 5 here on Wild Banker, the 1?
He got a perfect trip to win last time out, but it's not impossible he could come back and win here. Rudy Rodriguez has decent enough wins, off of wins going long, 2nd off the claim. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him run well. The horse that he beat, Baldassar, is taking a lot of money right now. Part of it may well be his rider switch to Jose Lezcano from Heman Archie. I'm not a big fan of his. I know David Aragona likes this horse a lot, and I respect David's opinion. I'm just not a particular fan of this horse.
You may not have been able to hear it, but called a post, and here comes our post parade. Just tapping, and here is Manny, the hot hand today, Wild Banker for Rudy Rodriguez.
Yeah, he's going to have to build in his last race, as often is the case when you win. Things get tougher, but he's in the same condition. Keep that in mind.
Stable mate. Sundays with Sandy with Jose Gomez.
Yeah, I just don't think he's as good as these horses.
Full Moon Fever came from off the pace to get that win last start.
No, he ran a figure good enough to win here. Can he duplicate it?
Durkin's call 12-1 with Andre Worry.
Yeah, I think this is a tough spot. I know he went a mile 2 back, but this is a world of different.
Yeah, he's going to stretch back out today. Here's Advanced Strategy off the claim, Linda Rice.
Could well be favored by post time, is favored in doubles. I wouldn't be surprised, and I think should be favored. Stretching out, big move for Linda Rice off the claim.
This one likes to be forward. There is a storm brewing, Kate Davis.
Right, and he's a thorn in the side of Baldassar. They could be moving up front.
Bourbon Bay. Source went gate to wire last start.
He did. I thought that Inside Speed did pretty well on that track, though. Overall, it was fair. He's not getting the lead here, but that doesn't mean he can't win.
6% was huge at Saratoga this summer.
He was, and he's been in some tough spots since then. He makes a lot of sense, and right now is a very generous price at 5-1.
And lightly raced, he's still the favorite. Baldassar, at least there's some upside with a horse making just his fourth start, and he's quick.
Yeah, I think the best thing to say is he's lightly raced. In his last race, probably the best race he's ever run, cutting back to the one turn. But the thing is, even though it was a quick pace at 9 furlongs last time, with the presence of the number 6 in this race, there's storms brewing. It figures to be a quick pace again. And even though you can say, well, he has an outside post, he can stalk. He's never been in a race where he didn't have the lead before, and you don't know if he'll be as effective in those situations. I'm not saying he can't win. I don't like him. I just think he's a massive underlay at his current 3-1.
Meanwhile, here's Wild Banker, the co-win leader of this group. 6 wins on the resume, and the hot hand, Manny Franco, looking for 5. Let's go to JK for more.
Yeah, I mean, I think the conversation in this race starts with the inside and outside horse, the 1 Wild Banker and the 9 Baldassar, who are exiting that same race. Andy mentioned in passing that the pace was pretty quick last time going the 9 furlongs. Well, this is a lesson that I kind of learned talking to Richie Migliori about what's the difference between a 2-turn race at 1 1/8 and a 1-turn race at a 1-turn mile. And talking through that with Richie, who's ridden more races than I've even probably watched, I think that the thing to think about is that I've learned that the 1-turn mile is actually more of a stamina test. Because they don't get to slow down going into that first turn. They might go that 1/8 of a mile further going a 2-turn 9 furlongs 1 1/8. When they're doing a 1-turn mile, it's a straight shot all the way down the backside where horses don't get that slow down into the turn breather. And that's why I feel like it's a little bit more of a stamina test. And the fact that Wild Banker and Baldassar took place in that kind of faster paced race and Wild Banker was the better of the two, I actually feel like the cutback in distance is going to help him. While some might believe that that Baldassar, the 9, wanted it to be a little bit shorter, I actually think that this is actually going to be more of a stamina test for Baldassar. So we'll find out in a couple of minutes. But I don't want to get carried away with the price differential either, because I think they probably are going to end up being pretty close in price at the end of the day. But I prefer the 1 Wild Banker because I believe he has more stamina, and I think stamina is going to matter in this 1-turn mile.
All right, he's 4-1 right now, JK. Thanks. And look, he's proven he's a 5-time winner at a mile. Sometimes you look at horses coming out of longer races too, and you say, well, that could dull their speed a little bit. I don't know if that's going to be the case though with Baldassar today.
Oh, no, I agree. I think he'll have to be forward. But with the presence of There's a Store of Bruin, it's hard to imagine the pace isn't going to be at least honest in this race. And I agree, the pace can get a bit hotter. It will get hotter in these 1-turn mile races. That's one of the reasons that 1-turn races are more favorable to speed closers and 2-turn races often to speed horses, because the paces usually are much faster in the 1-turn races than 2 with a long straightaway. I think Advanced Strategy is a very dangerous horse in this race. You look on the go back, and this horse was running mid-80 buyers going a flat mile on the dirt. And while they ran on the turf and he didn't run badly, I'm not sure that dirt isn't the right surface. And I think Linda Rice was happy to jump right in and claim this horse. Didn't run that badly at 6 furlongs, which is likely too short for him. And I think the stretch out, Linda's got fantastic numbers. Off the claim, stretching out on the dirt at Aqueduct, she's 16 for 33 over the last 5 years, 48% with a 274 ROI. And I think Advanced Strategy, who I expected to be the favorite and probably think should be the favorite, I think he's going to be tough in here. But I also think the number 8, 6%, who's 50% or more higher price, he's not that much less likely to win. And I think he might be even better value to get it done in this race. I think he makes a lot of sense cutting back to the 1-turn.
And that's the horse, the 8, 6%, and won the beauty pageant for Mig in the paddock. Let's go back to Mig for more.
Yeah, Greg, and he continued to impress me on the racetrack. I loved his warm-up. He left the pony, really skipped over the top of this sealed surface, looked very, very comfortable, loved his energy level. So everything I liked in the paddock, I continued to like, or even started to like more on the racetrack. I'm going to take 6% at 6-1.
All right, so Dylan Davis, Jeremiah Engelhart with 6% for Mig. As he said, 6-1 on the board. Wow, Balthazar has remained the favorite mildly at 7-2.
Yeah, now I picked the 5, but I think at 6-1, I would rather bet the 8 than bet the 5 at 7-2. So I bet a few dollars to win on him. I just think he's better value in the win pool, and I boxed him in the exacta.
There's Sundays with Sandy. Jose Gomez stepping in, trying to win for the third time in the last 4 starts. Struggled in the mud last out at 1 1/8. And we'll see how this pace sets up with the 6 and the 9 and how they battle early in here. Preferable outside slot with Jose Lezcano and Baltazar on the outside with that 9 who's about to step in here down to 3-1 as your favorite here in the 7th. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call. Race 7 here from Aqueduct.
Side. All in line. All set. And they're off. There is a storm brewing, has early speed. Towards the outside, there's Bourbon Bay, and Baltazar is going to be in the early mix as well. Wild Banker is in the red cap, is at the rail, is going to track in 4th. Moving towards the outside, here comes 6%, who's going to be in 5th. In between horses is Durkin's Call as they come out of the chute. Full Moon Fever is way up on the far outside with Advanced Strategy second to last, and a little awkward to start there with Squeeze with Sundays with Sandy, who is progressing quickly, is out in the center of the racetrack for Jose Gomez. They work up the backstretch. Bourbon Bay has got the lead. It's Bourbon Bay who went 23.44 unopposed on the lead. To the inside, here comes There's a Storm Brewing. The big long shot here is ready to challenge as they approach. 4 furlongs left to travel. Baltazar is stalking off of them from 3rd. Then at the rail, now driven along comes Wild Banker, who's going to need some room, and out wider, that's 6%. They're 4th and 5th as they've got less than a half mile to go. 46.66 for a half mile time. There is a Storm Brewing, has got a nose in front. Coming right back to the outside is Bourbon Bay, and Baltazar continues to watch that action 3 wide. 4 wide is going to be 6%, and Dylan Davis, they start to move closer. Sundays with Sandy has been very wide. No room yet for Wild Banker, who's down at the rail, is now challenging for the 5th spot. They are tightly bunched 4 across the racetrack. Baltazar has kicked on. It's Baltazar. 6% is ready to pounce out on the grandstand side. Losing ground was Bourbon Bay. From the back, Full Moon Fever's got a bit of a rally there with Durkin's Call. It is Baltazar for a final 1/8 of a mile. 6% is very game to the outside. 6% Baltazar. Now 6% puts a neck in front, extending the margin. 6% gets the score. 6% over Baltazar, Full Moon Fever, and Durkin's Call in 1 minute 37.51 seconds.
6% the win, getting the best of Baltazar here. Picks up the 4th win of his career. Good call, Mig.
Yeah, and as we talked about beforehand, he was the value. Went up to 7-1. The 5 horse went down to 5-2. So he ended up being the value play of the contenders in here. And Dylan Davis got him in good position, sitting close down the backstretch. And I think Baltazar ran very well in here. The problem was, I think, something we talked about before the race. He couldn't control on the front end. And even though he rated fairly kindly, he didn't win. And he doesn't have that advantage he has by using his speed. So while he did run well in here, and listen, if the 8 was in the race, he would have won the race by 4 legs. But the reality was, I just think the fact that he couldn't control made it tougher to get the job done because the pace was very honest. But it's not like the winner came from far behind him, right? What was the winner? A length behind him at most, a length and a half behind him?
He got beat by Curlin's Wisdom last time out. We're going to see Curlin's Wisdom later in the card. So flatters his form. That's amazing. This horse floated up to 7-1.
This is a ridiculous price in this horse. It's funny, we were talking about this race on Talking Horses and the value of the price, and it turned out, we were saying that this horse could end up being a better price, and it ended up being the better price. And I think that's one of the things you have to realize. We talked about it in this show before the race. While I picked the 5, this horse is a much better bet at 7-1 than the 5 at his eventual 5-2 odds.
Back-to-back numbers in terms of the pick 6 in late pick 5, making this interesting if you are still alive. 8, 9, 3, 4 still to come. We're going to preview the Derby Trail, picking back up tomorrow here from New York. The Jerome and Arctic Arrogance, already a stakes winner against New York breds at a mile. We'll try and do it on the Derby Trail on Saturday. Stay with us.
The Run Happies are hot, hot, hot with his 2-year-olds burning up the track. Recent top runners include this growing list of winners at Churchill Downs. Plus the speedy 2-year-old colt, Happy is a Choice, a 5-length maiden winner at Keeneland.
Happy is a Choice, Francisco Arrieta to win it.
Price for value and turning up the heat. Call today and book your mare to Eclipse champion Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
History remembers moments of extraordinary strength, skill, and determination. True greatness is forged by those who fulfill their destiny.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon on our FS2 coverage of America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by the champion sprinter Run Happy, now standing in legendary stall number 1, Claiborne Farm. We go back to Hot Springs. Race 5 kicks off the late pick 5 on their Friday card. 6 furlong sprint, $6,000 claiming race. Let's go to Paulie.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, this is a difficult race. When you're different with, dealing with $62,550 claimers here. It's not $62,000, $6,200. The one analyzer, now, Norm McKnight won the first race with a horse that was debuting on the dirt, and the horse actually won off the screen from gate to wire. Now, Analyzer does have a little bit of speed, but there is a ton of lick in this race. Northside, the 4, I think is the quick of the quick. Rockin' Junebug, major player in here. The 6 is another horse that might need to lead off the claim from Johnny Ortiz. And if you go look back at Rockin' Junebug, he's the kind of horse that's very, very consistent. You look at this race, it's kind of a senior citizen type of race. You got an 8-year-old with the one. Robertino Diodoro claimed the 2, a 9-year-old. You don't see many 9-year-olds get claimed, and now this horse is 2-1. You have a 5-year-old, you have a 6-year-old, another 6-year-old, a couple of 8-year-olds in here, a 7-year-old. So they're getting their discounts at Denny's in this race. I do think the 2's the horse to beat off the claim for Mr. Garvey, one of Robertino's longest clients, Charles Garvey. But I'm going to go with the 9 here. I thought the 9 looked good on the racetrack. I thought the 1 looked tremendous too. But the 9, Pops Biscuit. If you look at this horse, every time this horse, I know there's a 9 second-place finishes. I don't know if this horse can win this race, but I'm looking for somebody from a tiny bit off the pace. And when you look, every time this horse has dropped down to this level, has ran a pretty bang-up race, which is comparable to the rest of these. I do think the 6 or the 2 are the horse to beat, but I thought the 1 and the 9 looked best. So a crapshoot. Those are the 4 horses I'm using to start my late rate pick 5, 1, 2, 6, 9.
Paulie, good luck. I mean, this bottom level claiming type of race, this can be tough to find who's going to come up as your winner. I thought the 4 in here, Northside, had a brutal beginning last time out. A horse looked like he wasn't even going to finish the race. A few steps out of there, actually rushed up, dueled, and then packed it in. That was off a long layoff. I thought he had a potential to be a factor in here.
He does, but the problem is that with the presence of Rockin' Junebug and the 11 Shanghai Point, it's very hard for this pace not to get hot, and I think that's something that Paul was alluding to. I don't disagree on his own. He makes some sense, and as you can see looking at my paper, I had this race open to a lot of horses, and, you have the value diminishing on the two in this race, claimed for $15,000, running for $62,500, and I get it. The purse is $26,000. So if the horse wins, he gets $15,600 for the win. Is definitely getting claims. So now you're up to almost $22,000. And after paying the bills, they win a couple of dollars. They had to ship from Remington. But I'm sorry, you're really claiming horses for $15,000 at Remington to win $6,000 claimers at Oaklawn? I don't buy it. And I'm not taking those kind of drop downs. So I would look for somebody else.
Diodoro 2 away from number 3,000 in his career.
You know, the number 6, by the way, is the same situation, claimed for 15, dropping down. And this horse, isn't the 6 who's 2-1 going to get embroiled in a pace stool? I mean, there's a lot of speed in here. Maybe he can stalk a little bit.
I mean, he did stalk when he won a couple starts back.
That's fair. That's fair. We'll see if he's able to do it here.
John Ortiz, one of the names that really was a breakthrough trainer last year on the scene.
Yeah, and of course, the rider, David Cabrera, was having that great meet. He ended up holding on, and it's good to see him back from the injury. I mean, you haven't seen him run at all because he got injured before the meet ended, and he came back at this meet. I agree with Paulie. The 9 Pops Biscuit, if you're looking for a price, I think he makes a little bit of sense in here. I don't know about the Remington shippers because last year they struggled at Oaklawn. Now, maybe that'll change this year. But my experience last year was those shippers didn't necessarily run as well at Oaklawn.
6, your favorite, 2-1 Rockin' Junebug. 6-time winner. Big drop from open 16. That was in the slop, too, at Churchill Downs, but showed speed in that race. That's the question. What is this horse going to do? Because he did win, as we mentioned, 2 back sitting off the pace, but speed is probably his best weapon.
I'll be very surprised if they're not moving up front in here. And I think it's not a good sign the 2 just drifted up to 5-2. Tricky race. I think Paulie, with his mentioning the 9, I think he might be a little bit interesting if you're looking for a bit of a price.
Difficult pick 5. I thought the last couple of races, the 8th and 9th, are both really competitive races, but you probably could narrow both those down to a couple.
I did not look at them. I will be gone.
Okay.
And Richie can
Mig
dig
stepping
deeply into those
for
races.
Andy, yeah, later in the card. Vic Stoff for the call to get us started here in the late pick 5 at Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Analyzer made a mess of the start, jumped straight in the air. Trumpets and Northside shows speed, then released and to the outside Crimson Zip. Next it's Shanghai Point, followed by Rockin' Junebug and Pop's Biscuit. Som Tequila and Even Thunder are next, then Cool Runnings, and the desperately bad start has Analyzer at the back of the pack. Trumpets is the leader. He's a neck in front of Northside. These 2 match strides with Crimson Zip racing in third. Released is next, Rockin' Junebug in a tight spot at the rail. Meanwhile, Shanghai Point is in the clear and on the move. Then Pop's Biscuit and Even Thunder. They're about 7 from the front, 3.5 back to Analyzer and Cool Runnings, and the trailer is Som Tequila, and the leader is Northside. Northside just ahead in front of Trumpets, who's still very much part of this battle. Crimson Zip is 3 deep in third, 2 back to Released in fourth. Northside off the top of the turn. Trumpets is at the rail. Crimson Zip in the center. Released is on the move. These 4 across the racetrack, and Released has put ahead in front of Crimson Zip. Trumpets still part of the battle. Released has taken over the lead, and now he's a length and a half in front. Crimson Zip is second, and Trumpets is third. Here's 29.99 for Diodoro. Released wins. Released beat Crimson Zip. Trumpets was third, maybe Analyzer for fourth.
So Diodoro gets 1 step closer to 3,000 with his other horse at a bigger number, Released, with the victory, 5th win of his career.
Well, he used that speed to help set it up for this one, but actually I'd say it was the 2 that ran a tremendous race in running third, but Released was there to pick up the pieces, and who better than Ricardo Santana, who I expect to have a big meet there this year, sort of bounce back with a big meet. Another horse that got a very, very good trip. I think you have to credit the 2 for running as well as he did, all things considered. But ultimately, it was Released getting the money. Was that the 9 that finished second? Is that the horse we were talking about with Paulie? Or was that the 8?
The 8, I believe.
That was Crimson Zip between horses, Carl Broberg. But,
yeah, 7.82 finish. 2,999 for Robertino Diodoro, 9-1 on Released for the victory to start off the late pick 5.
He's gaining on Amos. You know, he really is.
He's got a ways to go.
Yeah, well, he's coming. He's coming for Tom.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back late double next from New York. The 8th race, 6 furlong sprint, New York Preds. There is Carbon, 2-1 current favorite. For trainer Linda Rice, Kendrick Carmouche will be aboard. The only win, it came here at Aqueduct back in March. Well, the post parade next.
Warfront. On the racetrack, his accomplishments included this victory in the Vanderbilt at Saratoga.
It will be Warfront to win it by 2.5 lengths.
Now this son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. With over 100 stakes winners, Warfront's progeny includes some of the world's most talented runners, both at home and abroad. Ranked #1 by percentage of lifetime stakes winners, graded stakes winners, and Grade 1 winners. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on FS2. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. So there's the one we showed you going to break. 4-year-old filly Carbon, 1 for 8 lifetime for Linda Rice. And since that maiden score, 3rd off the bench speed of length, and then 2 very narrow second-place finishes.
Yeah, gets it done, getting it done. Again, the thing, I'm a little on the fence with the number 2 in here, Carbon, because there's a part of you that says now had a couple of short price races and finished second, and you're wondering, is he a horse who just doesn't have the desire to get it done? On the other hand, Rebo's Valentine to beat her made a lot of sense. Karamoka got a very good trip to beat her last time. She had this crazy trip 3 races back, which is why a lot of us have liked her in her recent starts. But now Can't Hurry Love figures to have a pace advantage on her in here. And it's interesting, the first complaint I got when we canceled last Saturday was from Christophe Clement, because this horse was coming up in the next race. I don't blame him for being frustrated. And we were laughing about it in reality, just in general, the bad luck. But I think he's almost better off with the race coming back today, because she runs very well in a wet track, and the track's been pretty kind to speed. So she might actually be even better running on today's track than she was that day, and she does appear to be the main speed. If somebody wins besides Carbon or Can't Hurry Love, I'm going to lose.
Yeah, Carbon was just out finishing Can't Hurry Love, that race we showed you. Can't Hurry Love, though, the 3, some issues getting out of the gate in her career. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting race, and I'm going to start off talking about a big long shot, the one Captivating Cara, who did get freshened by trainer Mitch Friedman, and she's got races way back that actually were good enough in the mud to be competitive here. I was talking to Mitch about strategy, and he said, from the inside, the one time she was able to make the lead, he's basically going to tell the apprentice to, try to make the lead if he can from the inside. Don't know if she's fast enough, but I tell you what, I do think the freshening helped her because she had a lot of racing under her belt. The 3 Can't Hurry Love would get the paddock check mark. She looks outstanding. Dave Duggan, who won with his first runner from the horses he picked up from Rick Schosberg earlier in the day, is deputizing here for trainer Christophe Clement. She looks terrific. If she can break cleanly, she could play out to be actually the main speed. And the 8-horse really making a nice impression as well from the Charlie Baker barn, Royal Currency. And she could be well placed outside, get a kind of look at things to her inside and get the run of the race. But I thought she looked outstanding as well, guys.
Mig, thanks. Yeah, the 8 Royal Currency had been some second-itis for her. Got over that with a win last time out on a race that was taken off the turf back on November 17th. She's 8-1. There she is. Dylan Davis will look to go back-to-back.
Yeah, let me get to her. Give me a second. Yeah, she was on a track that was extremely kind to speed. And even though Shinful as she beat came back to win, it was against inferior horses. I think this is a much tougher spot. And at best, she's in a stalking spot here.
You know, and back to Can't Hurry Love for a moment. Mig says, you know, if she breaks, she should win. That's a big if for her.
No. If she breaks, she'll be in front.
In front, and a good chance to win. But yeah, well, big if that she's even going to break well.
Well, she had a lot of trouble breaking. I haven't seen her as a horse that's had gating issues.
Totally her fault. But
yeah, I mean,
she's had a lot of issues out of the gate.
No, but she's not a horse that doesn't get out of the gate. So I mean, listen, anything can happen, but I wasn't concerned with that. But obviously, when you have a speed horse, you always worry about the start, just as we saw in the 6th race today.
5-1 Cinderella's Cause taking play as well. Eric Cancel for Chris Engelhardt.
She figures to be stalking. She ran well enough 3 back, but this is a tougher spot. But she was in a tough spot in the duel. But she's not totally impossible. That was an easier field to beat.
Last 3 starts, though, has gone backwards each time out.
And I just think she's supposed to have to stalk Can't Hurry Love, and if it gets hotter up front, it's going to make it easier for Carbon to get the job done.
There's Can't Hurry Love. Manny Franco, again, looking for number 5, getting a leg up here. And he's been a regular pilot on this filly, who does have a win on an off track. Won in the slop at Saratoga to break her maiden this summer.
Yeah, I'm sure Christophe feels like he's rewarded for the cancellation, that he got a wet track. And you know what's amazing? It cleared up finally. You see that?
It is beautiful right now.
Yeah. Sun is out for the first time, and so hopefully we can dry this out a little bit
we had
for
light
tomorrow's
rain,
races.
What, about an hour ago?
Yeah, not even. Barely.
Blue skies, sun shining. As we get to the 8th here for the post parade, and here's Captivating Kara from the inside.
The sun always shines in the Big A. Captivating Kara's best race makes her one race a fringe contender in a sloppy sealed track, but her form is not good.
Still the favorite at 9-5. Here's Carbon Kinder Carmouche.
I think she should be the favorite here. She makes a lot of sense. She could get a good trip in here depending on how the pace plays out. She's one of the main horses to beat, if not the main one.
Speedy Can't Hurry Love went by. Here's the 4 Keen Dancer.
She comes off a big win. Ray Purcell's been live lately, but he does not often win back-to-back.
Cinderella's Cause has shown pace.
Should be in a stalking position in this race. Is she good enough?
Temperamental, big price, 21-1.
Yeah, she's not good enough.
Yeah, soft figure in a win last start against Easier. Here's the 8 Royal Currency, who caught Mig's eye in the paddock.
I would be surprised if she was competitive here. It's a much tougher spot than last time, and the pace held.
Yeah, did take a big step forward, though, last start, figure-wise. Big Bean Christine, 5-1 from a 10-1 morning line.
Off the claim for Ray Handel. You missed it. Ray Handel bought pizza for lunch and champagne on New Year's Eve.
For the crew?
Well, he brought it in Talking Horses for Anthony and I, but we brought it down and we shared it with everybody in the office.
Wasn't this the running joke at Saratoga that he was going to take you out to dinner?
Apparently, Ray has never gone into his pocket for anything, and so he felt ashamed and he did that. He came on the set. It was actually a lot of fun.
Very nice gesture.
Ray's a wonderful guy. We only make fun of our friends.
8-5 favorite here. Carbon, I'm sorry I missed that. 2 minutes to
good
post.
Pizza. Very good pizza.
Here in the 8th, we have him back, I believe. Jonathan Kinchin.
I am back. You're right about that. And Carbon, I think probably deserves to be the favorite. Was involved close enough to a pace that kind of fell apart last time on a sloppy racetrack. The pace figures suggest that he'll probably appreciate she will, that cutback from 7 furlongs to 6. And if you look at the race 2 back, she ran well there, too, at 6 furlongs. So everything kind of points in her direction. And I think if this wasn't a gambling game, if we were just out here picking who we think is going to win, the 2 would be who I would be interested in. But since it is a gambling game, I'm going to go towards the outside with the 9 Big Bean Christine, switching to Ray Handel, from connections that don't win as much. And so one of my thoughts here is it's a pretty confident feeling move to claim for 16 and then run against this group. You're drawn towards the outside. This horse runs well in the clear. Last 2 starts was wide in both of those starts, losing tons of ground, but ran well. And I think when you find a horse that likes to run in the clear, it can say a lot. Sometimes it can be a size thing. I wouldn't be able to tell from the screen or even in real life if the horse was bigger than some of the other ones. But sometimes it can be a size thing where they don't get stopped. They're just kind of going and galloping along, and it feels like Big Bean Christine might be one of those that likes being in the clear. If you look through some of her other races where she's run second, she's kind of spent some time down on the inside. Doesn't project that she'll get down to the inside. If she ends up on the inside, someone has to ask Vargas a question on how he ended up down there. So at 5-1 with the money this horse is taking off the morning line, I'm going to go with the 9 Big Bean Christine, but it's nothing against Carbon outside of the price.
All right, JK, thanks. Yeah, Big Bean Christine. Wow, I mean, 0 for 13 to start her career. Really 0 for 11, then back-to-back runner-up finishes, and then back-to-back wins. So she's really turned it around.
Yeah, she really has. She's improved a lot recently, and it's never a bad thing to be in Ray's barn. His numbers off the claim are not great, but Ray was really coming off, and this is only partly because he bought us the pizza and the champagne. He had, all kidding aside, had a terrific 2022. He's a trainer that's always shown signs, just needs some opportunities, getting some more opportunities, and I thought 22 was a very good year for him. And Ray is one of those guys that's an up-and-coming trainer. I mean,
no question.
It feels a little like for us, because we're here every day, he doesn't feel up-and-coming. Because we've been watching Ray do well for years, right? But I think he has gotten a lot more notice over the last year, and hopefully that'll lead to getting some more owners, because he's obviously more than a capable trainer. And I think the better your horse is, the more you learn as a trainer, and the better you can do. And I think he's a very promising, terrific trainer, and he's a good guy.
Well, still favored, this gray filly Carbon with Kendrick Carmouche for Linda Rice with more. Let's go back to Mig.
Yeah, Carbon got that big Kendrick Carmouche warm-up, man. She just left from the gap and really blasted off. Went 1/8 of a mile in about 15 seconds, a 2-minute clip. Looked terrific on the track. Looked like she got over the ground very well. I prefer the 3, Can't Hurry Love. She just checks all the boxes for me. Loved her warm-up, loved her in the paddock, and continue to like what I see from her on the racetrack. And getting to the 9 Big Bean Christine, she is a smaller horse, just to answer Jonathan's kind of question. Not a lot to her, smaller. Sometimes those horses get over this kind of ground much better. And if I would have gotten a little bit of that pizza and or champagne, Andy, I would have forgiven that bet we had in the Alabama. You still owe me dinner, and you could have got away with just a little bit of pizza or a little bit of champagne.
You know, he whined on Twitter about this, and not his most embarrassing Twitter moment, but he was there in the office, and we offered, and he's pretending he wasn't offered. He's full of it. He was completely offered. And by the way, 1 slice sat in there. Rich, you could have that slice. I thought they were saving it for you, Greg.
Pay your debts.
I pay. As I recall, you and Maggie never bought me that burger at Hamlet and Ghost that you guys lost to me.
Yeah, probably never going to either.
Right after you just said pay your debts, you just said that.
No, we make it happen this summer at Saratoga.
I hope so.
We'll make it happen.
I hope so.
Hamlet and the Ghost.
The kids are growing up, Greg. You know, you can get a night out.
I'll get one night out.
You used to be fun. You used to come out all the time. Now you got those kids, you know.
I got to put them to bed. 9-5 favorite Carbon. Kendrick Carmouche, Linda Rice. We'll see if Can't Hurry Love can take control early and bring Manny Franco number 5 on this Friday card. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call, the 8th from Aqueduct.
All set. And they're off. Speed to the inside from Can't Hurry Love, and at the rail is going to be Captivating Kara. They're 1-2. Just off of them is going to be Cinderella's Cause. Center of the racetrack is going to challenge for that second position. Very wide is Big Bean Christine, in a lineup there with Royal Currency. Temperamental gets out of that fray. Then comes Carbon, who was out of second to last, and far back early is the trailer Keen Dancer. On the front end, it's Can't Hurry Love. Can't Hurry Love will take him into the far turn. Cinderella's Cause is now alone in second. Losing ground quickly there was Captivating Kara. Starts to back out of it. Got passed by Carbon, who's slipping through to the inside. And there's Big Bean Christine up on the outside. Can't Hurry Love has got the lead. 22.41 is unopposed on the front end right now. But Big Bean Christine starts to move closer. Also with the rally, here comes Royal Currency. And Royal Currency is still 2.5 off this leader. Can't Hurry Love kicks for home. It is Can't Hurry Love who's up up by 2 lengths, approaching 1/8 of a mile to go. Big Bean Christine is up on the outside here with Royal Currency and Temperamental. Can't Hurry Love approaches the 16th to go. Can't Hurry Love is still clear. Can't Hurry Love. Franco, that's 5 for Manny Franco on a Friday. Royal Currency up on the outside there. Big Bean Christine is in a photo in 1 minute 11.24 seconds.
Can't Hurry Love got to the front and goes gate to wire for the win. 5-win day for Manny Franco.
Well, once she broke sharply as she did and went to the front, there were no mistakes for her. She was just able to control. Cotton did not run her race today, to be fair, but this was a sort of no doubt about it win. The only real scare she got was when Big Bean Christine made that nice move in the turn, and she looked like she might go by her, but she was really no match for her in the stretch. An easy win, and Christophe Clement ran a horse here in the winter and won. Maybe we can encourage him to leave more horses.
Slight second choice. Went off co-favorite at 2-1, but it was the 2 Carbon who was the favorite by a small margin. Can't Hurry Love, gate to wire win. Umig Like in the paddock. And she runs through her looks here on the front end every step of the way. Second win of her career for the Clement barn, owned by Ken Wheeler. Prices for you when we come back. 3, 8, 9, 7 in the 8th. And we'll set up the nightcap when we return to close out the late pick 5. Stay with us. You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2.
The return of Sunday Silence.
Sunday Silence surges to the front. It's Yoshida in front. Yoshida takes charge at the top of the stretch, and Yoshida wins the Turf Classic. Here comes Yoshida, storming home in the center with Gunnevera. Yoshida! Yoshida has won the 1 word.
The perfect balance. Yoshida.
We take pride in what we do.
For me, it's more of a passion than actual work. I'm an assistant trainer.
Carpenter.
I'm a peace officer.
I'm a jockey.
I'm a gardener.
I'm a groom.
Clocker.
Assistant starter. Trainer.
ESL teacher.
I love what I do.
There's so many jobs that come together every day. It's a collective effort that really makes this ball go round.
We are New York Racing! I couldn't imagine working anywhere else.
For me, riding horses in the morning is the best thing I can do.
New York Racing helps support my small business.
It's extremely important to the New York economy.
Like my dream come true.
This is like a big family.
We are New York Horse Racing.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on FS2. It's brought to you in part where you can play it all on Naira Bets. Get signed up, started. Go to nairabets.com, and you could be alive in this pick 5 today. Take a look at the wheel pace a little bit later on. As we go back to Oaklawn, race 6 starts their late pick 4. 6 furlong sprint, first allowance condition race coming up, and Congressman off since May. Beat last time he was on the racetrack, Warrior Johnny, who Paulie, I know, ran huge. We saw this summer at Saratoga.
Yeah, Warrior Johnny, excuse me, it was the Phil Bauer horse that just ran a giant number. Now, he sort of bounced a little bit when he went back to Churchill and hadn't run the same. But when you look at Congressman, you know, Florent Giroux is aboard. Now, I think a lot of people are thinking, okay, Florent Giroux's in town. But I think he's in town to ride the Brad Cox runner a little bit later on, and maybe he picked up Congressman. I don't know if I take this horse at 5-2. Now, the horse obviously looked tremendous on the racetrack. You know, when I first looked at this race, I really liked the 2. You know, first time for Matt Schurer, who's very, very crafty. I just didn't love the way he looked on the racetrack. He was a tiny bit washed out, and I don't know. He just didn't look like he was ready to go. He was a little bit bothered. So I kind of am going to lean off him. Now, the 5 classic moment for Steve Asmussen, you do see Strobe, you do see Legionnaire. Now, has Strobe played out what we thought he was going to be? You know, no, because he was supposed to go to the Malibu. That did not kind of play out. But is it still a better spot than this? I just don't know, you know, at that price. So the 5 and the 7, I'm just a tiny bit leery. I do think the 9, Mr. I hope I'm saying that right, and I guess for the Catman, taking a little money for Daniel Cabrera. I think this horse has got a little bit of a shot, and I thought looked the best on the racetrack, to be honest with you. The 1 and 9, to me, were the best lookers. And listen, I'm not Maggie, and I'm not even close to being Acacia, but like I said, I was here to play the 2 until I saw him on the racetrack. So I'm going to go with the 1 or the 9 in here.
Paulie, I want to say I often confuse you for Maggie and Acacia, so I think you're selling yourself a little bit short.
Paulie, look, honestly, he can pick out a horse looks-wise, no question. This horse does make a nice appearance. Well, 6-1 right now.
Before he started talking about him, I said to you off camera, I kind of like the 9. What do you think of him? And then Paulie started singing his praises. I want no part of the 7, Congressman. His race was giant last time out, and he beat a field where a number of horses came back to run extremely well out of it.
Last time out was May 7th, by the way.
And I'm not looking to be hard on Rudy Brissett, but Windstar took this horse from Todd Pletcher and gave him to Rudy Brissett. I don't know. The cast-offs he gets from Bob Baffert, I take with a grain of salt. I don't really trust this horse at all. I'm going to bet the 9 with the 1 and 5.
91 Beyer in start number 2, winning in a mile.
Oh, this was a terrific effort, and this was a very good field behind him. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah, as we talked about, look, he beat Warrior Johnny, who ran a 99 Beyer at Saratoga this summer, routing. That was at a mile and an eighth. But a horse who could be potential player in the older horse division this year.
Listen, he could be a potential player in the older horse division if he was able to build on that maiden win. And I don't like it. I don't like that. This horse has kind of a bad odor to me.
Florent Geroux, Brissett taking over. First start since that maiden score with that big number. As we're looking at the 2 here, Tapit Spirit, who was a winner with, talk about a big number. He got a 97 Beyer at Horseshoe Indy back on October 17th. Can that somehow translate it? Actually backed it up with an 85. He went backwards, but still a decent number in a tougher field next out. But then the last start was troubling.
Yeah, it is a trainer change. Same owners that claimed the horse last time out. And I don't know. He just didn't transfer that form from Indy. He ran a huge figure, though, 3 back, and didn't run badly last time. I'm going to go other places. I guess he's not impossible. I like the horse on the outside. But I got to say, Mr. Got a little less appealing going down from 5 or 6-1 to 7-2. That's a big punch, huh?
Yeah, he was beat by Ernie Banker. That's actually a 9-time winner who at the time when he got beat by him last start, that was his 4th win in a row. So he was a hot horse.
Ernie Banker's a funny horse. He's in New York, I don't know if he's a New York bred or not, but he ran here. He ran in New York. John Kimmel had him. And he was like, couldn't win. He was like 2 for 14 or 1 for 14. And he's won 9 or 11 he won like 9 of 12 starts last year or something. And when he went to Oaklawn, he came from New York as a horse that just couldn't get to the winner's circle, and he became this win machine.
Well, wow. You were concerned about 7-2?
What?
2-1 now, Mr. on the outside, big favorite.
I'm canceling my win bet.
JK, where are you going to wind up here?
Well, I mean, look, I think some of the short-priced horses make the most sense in here, but I at least just wanted to mention the 6 Peaceful Street, puts the blinkers on. 1-2 races. It was a productive starter allowance race back in January of 2022. So this horse is a 4-year-old now. So basically that was, if you think back to January 1st of 2022, this horse was basically a 2-year-old. Okay, it had just turned 3. And to earn the speed figure that they earned back then, now to be a 4-year-old, a fully mature 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, you got to think that this horse has a reason to take a step forward. From a speed figure standpoint, it looks too slow, but you have to consider those 12 months of maturity from the time where horses make their biggest leaps in maturity. I just think 14-1 is entirely too large of a price. I wouldn't cut in line to bet this horse to win, to beat a horse like the 5 Classic Moment, the 7 Congressman, but I do think that this horse does deserve to be a little bit shorter price than 14-1.
Well, if he wins, that would be $3,000 for Diodoro. Some of the things probably you don't look. A lot of changes. Blinkers on, new gelding, long time off. But obviously there's ability there.
Oh, no doubt about it. This is a good field. There's plenty of horses in this race that have run well at different times. I wouldn't want any part of Peaceful Street in this race, but he's a big price. And listen, Congressman's 4-1. Now, that may be a function of being a little chilly on the board, but it is a pretty good price. Listen, I like Mr. but not at 5-2.
What was your take on Classic Moment? He was beat by Legionnaire last start, who won that race with a 92 buyer. He was actually second to Elite Power in a maiden special.
Well, you know that I like cutbacks. So that Ben Diesel, I think he's running on Saturday or Sunday. I know I looked at him in the PP somewhere looking at the races through the weekend. He's a horse I kind of liked last year. He'd run sort of sneaky well in, I think, the Southwest or the Smarty Jones. I think he fits in there. I mean, it is running some tough company. I think he's very dangerous. You know I always like horses cutting back in distance. Doesn't hurt to have Ricardo Santana.
He is 5-2. That is a huge hit the 9 took. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, he was 6-1. He went 6-7-2 and then 2-1.
So Wayne Catalano taking over training duties. This 5-year-old David Cabrera rides 2-1 favorite outside. Actually, he's been first or second in 8 of his 11 lifetime starts. Just missed at Remington last time out. And we'll see if this is a historic moment for the Diodoro barn with Peaceful Street. Let's go to Vic Stauffer, race 6 from Oaklawn, pick 4.
Mr. Thunderstruck. Last to load. Mr. They're at the post. They're off. Good start for Momayaz and Tappet Spirit. Peaceful Street is close up, and Mr. in the center of the racetrack. Classic Moment is next. Then comes Ultimate, followed by Don't Forget It, Mr. Thunderstruck, and the trailer is Congressman. It's Mr. The leader up the backstretch, a half length in front of Peaceful Street in second. Momayaz and Tappet Spirit are right together. Momayaz in a very tight spot, squeezed through at the rail. Then 2.5 back to Don't Forget, followed by Ultimate and Classic Moment. Mr. Thunderstruck has one beat, and the trailer is Congressman, and the leader is Mr. Mr. has a quarter mile to go, and he's 2.5 lengths in front of Momayaz and Tappet Spirit. Don't Forget is dropped back. Now unwinding from the back of the pack are both Congressman and Ultimate. They've got 6 lengths to come up. Mr. has the lead, but Momayaz is coming after him in second. And Tappet Spirit and Congressman, who has good-looking strides in the center. Mr. going to have to hold off Congressman, who's now catching with every stride. Mr. Congressman going to be close. Congressman might have him along with Ultimate. Congressman! Ultimate went right with him and ended up second. Mr. third, Don't Forget fourth.
Congressman off since May 7th of last year. That huge 91 buyer in the maiden win against a really good group. First time against winners, impressive off the bench.
Well, the bettors felt like me. They wanted to stay away from him, and he ended up being a much bigger price than I think you could have reasonably expected it to be. Obviously, they were moving up front the way this race came apart in the late stages, and Mr. ran pretty well. But Congressman, give him a lot of credit getting it done here and getting it done for Rudy Brissett. 4-1, Florent Giroux as well. Promising horse, right?
Yes, he is.
And
doing
Ultimate,
that off the bench.
Well, Ultimate didn't have that long a layoff.
You meet some good horses in this group, too.
Yeah. No, I agree. I had 9-1, and I was feeling pretty good. Unfortunately, the race was 6 furlongs, not 5.
I'll give it to us again, Manny. Just held up 5. Can't Hurry Love, 5-win afternoon. Manny Franco. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
With a very happy Manny Franco. Manny, your 5th win of the day with Can't Hurry Love. When you look at the racing form the day before coming into a day like this, you were on a lot of live horses. Do you ever have an anticipation or expect you're going to have a day like this?
I mean, every day I come with positive, I try to take them off of every horse I ride. But like you say, today I have a good car, and I was, like I said, positive, and the horse has been running for me.
Manny, after you win the first, the second, the third one, it's like your confidence level even kind of gets bigger. It just seems like you're in a zone.
Yeah, it's true. You know better than me. I think when you win 3 races already, you do, every move you do it right. So, and the horse is running for me, like I say, and I'm just grateful to get a day like this. And I want to say thank to all the trainers, the owners, and my agent John Panagot. That he's been doing a great job.
Okay, now you got a mount in the last race. You got number 6 in you?
Hopefully, I will try.
All right, congratulations. Great job. And, guys, this is the second time Manny's got 5 in a day.
Mig, thanks. We talk about him a lot. Here's a look at all his winners this afternoon. Probably the most athletic guy in that room, even when everybody's here. What do you think about his chances in the nightcap?
I'm not a big fan, but so what? He's taking some money in here. Antonio Arriaga claimed has excellent numbers off the claim with routers in general, so that could move him up. I think he'd have to improve to win this race, but he's taking some money, and man, he's having a great day. And regardless, you don't go home disappointed after winning 5, even if you lose the last race. But 6 would be a huge event for him, but 5 is pretty big too. Nice for him.
Number 5 coming gate to wire. Broke sharp, got the lead, and led every step of the way. $6.60. Again, owned by Ken Wheeler Jr., Christophe Clement winning trainer. Royal Currency, Big Bean, Christine second and third. Late pick 5 follow along. $223,000 that pool. Started out formful enough. Then 8-1 Baron's Legacy. 6%. Probably went off at too big a price at 7-1.
The pick 5s are not that good considering the payouts. You look at the parlay there, and it's over $1,000 for 2, I believe, or in that range. And
well,
they're
6% did not pay.
Yeah,
I
think 6%. I'm also not sure the Firster was an $18 horse in the pick 5 as well. Horse that could have taken a little more money in a race like that. So, and maybe the last leg, a lot of people just used the 2 and 3. So I'm surprised. I thought the payouts would be better. They are not.
We're going to take a timeout. We'll set up the nightcap when we come back. 1-turn mile, allowance option or claiming race. That was Curlin's Wisdom, the 9 you were looking at in the paddock. 4-time winner. Actually won 4 of his last 6, and he is the current 5-2 favorite. There he is again. Jose Lezcano rides. We'll be back.
Tampa Bay Downs has a rich thoroughbred horse racing history in Florida dating back to 1926. Celebrities such as Babe Ruth, Jack Dempsey, and John Ringling all attended opening day. Saturday, January 14th is Skyway Festival Day. Watch talented 3-year-olds compete in 2 $125,000 stakes races, the Pasco for Colts and Geldings and the Gasparilla for fillies. Featuring full fields, great turf track racing, and a 15% takeout on our Pick 5, Tampa Bay Downs has live racing every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Back with you on America's Day at the Races on FS2. It's brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. We have the post parade coming up here and our nightcap on this Friday card here in South Ozone Park. 2 minutes to post. Keep that in mind if you're playing this race. Go through this group here quickly. The 2 inherits the rail with a scratch of the 1 outlier.
He's actually an interesting long shot. He was on a dead rail last time.
Next door, Uncle Moonlight, Michelle Nevin. Coming off a win.
Came alive and the rail that could have been strong early in the day at Belmont Day. Michelle not good off layups, but his last was good.
Battled some nice horses, too. Mr. Phil sprinting. I Am the Law at 5-1.
He really came alive. An aggressive ride going 9 furlongs, but can he do that again, cutting back to a 1-turn mile?
Win It went by. He's 2 for 3 at a mile for John Kimmel, and here's Senior Investment.
Yeah, Win It has to get out of the gate. If he does, it'll be tough to beat. Senior Investment, probably a bit against it.
Manor House, he has some talent. He's been inconsistent, though.
I'm not a fan, but he's a big price. I'm not going to knock him.
Lost in Rome, Heeman Harkey rides.
He had a nice win in his last couple of races, but the going gets a lot tougher here.
4 wins, last 6 starts for Curlin's Wisdom, the favorite.
And I think the cut back to a 1-turn mile, well, that was 2 back. Last time he went a mile to get it done. I think he makes a lot of sense. And probably the horse to beat.
Can that man right there get number 6, Manny Franco on Bourbon Calling?
Is this horse taking so much money because Manny's going for his 6th? There's something up because I think he's a bit of an underlay, but we'll see.
Well, that was on the 10. He'll be riding, as mentioned, for Antonio Arriaga. Let's go back to JK.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's between the top 2 in here. I Am the 4, I Am the Law, and the 9, Curlin's Wisdom. I talked about it a little bit earlier, the differences between a 1-turn mile and a mile and an eighth. I won't bore you with that again. I just feel like the 1-turn mile is more of a stamina test. And I saw what I Am the Law did when he looked Curlin's Wisdom in the eye last time, turned him away and won at that mile and an eighth. I think that stamina is going to come even more into play in this race. And I also think it's interesting to note that Gasoline, a winner yesterday, a very game winner yesterday. Richie was involved. He was 6th, 7th in that race where I Am the Law and Curlin's Wisdom exit. Mig?
Yeah, I think it definitely shows some strength coming out of that race. I thought the 3, Uncle Moonlight, was interesting. I like the horse, like his pedigree. Do think he'll improve with a race under his belt. Just maybe tuck up a little bit more. I Am the Law. When I see horses come out of big efforts, Jonathan, I want to see if they bounced out of it in good order. How's their weight? He looks like he bounced out of that race in terrific order. I Am the Law. No faulting at all. Win It has trouble getting out of the gate, and I could see why. Big, beautiful son of Tapit that's a bit studdish, gets a little bit preoccupied with things, loses his focus, but he can get away clean. He's a horse that wants to be kind of unencumbered with traffic, use that big Tapit stride of his, and a horse that stood out in the paddock, and I continued to love him in the post parade, and I'm going to disregard form. Now, we know it's not a beauty contest. In a perfect world, you like them on paper, and you like them physically. The 7, Manor House, just couldn't get past his physicality at 26-1. I'll try to take a swing at a big long shot.
Mig, I like it. I mean, you look at this horse, wins first time out, shows that ability, comes back off the bench, runs an 89 Beyer at Gulfstream. It's just he hasn't been able to build on his races and put together back-to-back good starts.
Knocking 26-1 shots is only going to get you in trouble, and the horse does run well fresh. He's never run a race that, to me, is competitive with these, but he does run well fresh, and he's a huge price if you like him. If Win It broke, I think he'd win, but he just keeps getting left. I scratched into him. I like No Burn. I hate picks that you scratch into. I have nothing clever to say in here other than the 2 outlier. I think he is the long shot if you want to use a horse and a price in here because he was down in the rail last time, which wasn't the place to be. But I think it's pretty much that the 5 and 9 are the right 2 horses, so I have nothing clever to say.
Yeah, outlier 2 back. He was in the Grade 1 Cigar Mile against Mind Control.
And run it badly.
Incredible finale to his career. Bookending Grade 1s as a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. So 18-1 here. And we've talked about it a lot. I mean, this barn, the horses he has brought here to New York, they're running.
He is a very dangerous trainer at a big price. They're not consistent, but they're outrunning their odds with enough frequency.
Lane Cash, trainer of Outlier. Here's Uncle Moonlight. Led every step of the way last time out. Talked about battling talented sprinter Mr. Phil in the past. Came out of that to win. And the slop going a mile. He is, 8-1 on the board right now. And Win It, he should appreciate cutting back to a mile. But this is the one Mig has talked about. Big horse, issues getting out of the gate. Kendrick Carmouche will be tasked with trying to help that get done here in this nightcap. 1 turn mile. Here to close out our Friday card. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the call.
All in line. All set. And they're off. Speed from in between horses. There comes Uncle Moonlight is going to be in the early fray. Then there's Outlier with the early mix, and also Manor House, as they are tightly bunched here as they get set to come out of the chute. Outlier and Luis Bautista wants to push on through here, is going to challenge Uncle Moonlight. They're now a clear 1-2 with Manor House. Progressing up on the outside comes Lost in Rome, is moving right there with Bourbon Calling, as they are going to line up 5 across the racetrack here in that opening quarter. I Am the Law is now back to the 6th position, as watching the action with Senior Investment, who's losing some ground. Here's Win It from the back end of the field, and the trailer. Curlin's Wisdom, still a scramble on 5 across the racetrack here. They went 23.23 for that opening quarter mile. Backing up a little bit there is Outlier. It's now Uncle Moonlight who's still in front. Uncle Moonlight with a nose in front, but they get ready to pounce up on the outside. Manor House is right there. Also Lost in Rome. Bourbon Calling is going to be 4 wide, but it is rallying on here, is coming after the leaders, and Bourbon Calling has put a nose in front. Win It is the big gray up on the outside, is going to have a wide run, has some momentum. Outlier is shifted towards the outside as well. Senior Investment, I Am the Law, the trailer Curlin's Wisdom. 46 seconds flat for a half-mile time. A quarter mile left to go, and Bourbon Calling has kicked for home. It is Bourbon Calling in front. Uncle Moonlight is a clear second. Win It is now within range as Bourbon Calling is trying to put it away, but Win It is bounding up on the outside. Less than a furlong to go. It's Bourbon Calling. Manny Franco looking for 6. Win It and Kendrick Carmouche trying to deny him. Bourbon Calling almost there. Win It at the line. Bourbon Calling. Manny Franco gets his 6th win on the afternoon. Win It was a game second. Then came I Am the Law and Uncle Moonlight in 1 minute 37.31 seconds.
6th win Friday afternoon for Manny Franco. Bourbon Calling gets the 6th win of his career.
Yeah, congratulations to Manny Franco. He had a 5-win day, but not a 6-win day, and he gets it done. And this horse ran extremely well. I mean, yes, you could say that Win It ran best because he badly blew the brake again, and he got rank behind him, but he always blows the brakes. You can't be surprised when he did, and I said having picked him. And also, this was a very quick pace in here, and the winner was engaging the quick pace that completely incinerated every single horse that was involved in it. And I think Bourbon Calling ran very well, and congrats to Manny Franco. He and his agent John Panagot, quite a day for the two of them, and Antonio Arriaga off the claim as well.
Staying wide in the stretch has been a good move today.
Yeah. I don't understand some of these riders. I don't understand why Jose Lezcano went down to the rail on the 9. I have no idea why he did that in the backstretch. Horses that are staying out in the middle of the track are running better. It makes no sense to see so many of these riders going down to the inside, down the backstretch.
10-5-4-3, Bourbon Calling. The man of the hour, Manny Franco, 6th win afternoon on this Friday card. Good for him. Means he has to talk to Mig again. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. Prices, late pick 5 payoffs when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
Whatever you use to predict future stallion success, breathe slowly and gaze at the desert's first great championship race. Curlin won it. So did Street Cry, Arrogate, and now, in a time even faster than Arrogate's, Mystic Guide. The cold hard fact is, after this, he was rated the best horse in the world. Mystic Guide. New to Darley.
Who are you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Quality Road, proving Lane's End's tried and true stallion making tradition. A tradition that leads to success for our partners and our stallions. Quality Road has sired multiple Eclipse Award and Grade 1 winners, including Champion 2-year-old Colt Corniche, Champion 2-year-old filly Caledonia Road, Champion 3-year-old filly Abel Tasman, and multiple Grade 1 winner City of Light. He's a leader of his generation. Quality Road, a stallion that stands above the rest.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We are back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Card in the books in New York. We still have the feature to come from Hot Springs, Arkansas at Oaklawn, so stay tuned for that. 6-win Friday afternoon for Manny Franco. That is not easy to achieve.
You don't see that too often. I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, we probably have seen it. I remember Ramon Dominguez doing it, but I'm trying to remember. I mean, can you remember? And you've been here now for 5 or 6 years. Can you remember it happening?
On our watch?
Yeah, while we were here. It's a tough thing to do.
To think back, yeah.
I mean,
and he did it, card. Yeah, we did it with some prices, too. Talented young man who sort of burst onto the national scene with 'Tis the Law. That was quite an experience for him on the Triple Crown Trail. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, and he was treated poorly on the way out by the connections who were going to dump him and had to be critical of him, and I thought that was pretty unfair. And Manny's such a good guy. I mean, you always have a right to replace somebody on a horse, but I think if you're going to replace him on a horse, you don't need to criticize him massively as well, especially when he's riding to instructions. But Manny's
one
of
the nicest guys, too, in that room.
Such a good guy and a terrific rider, and I think he really had a breakout year, and I thought he really things started going well when he made the agent switch. No knock on Angel, his former agent, but he and John Panagot have been really clicking together.
Late pick 5, 4,000.
Oh, Richie says Dylan did it.
What's that?
Richie said Dylan Davis did it.
$4,230, got 6 in a day.
Yeah, I misread this one, and my friend Sarah, who did Talking Horses with me today, did a great job on Talking Horses. She had to pick 5. So if she owes you money, give her a call.
Did it what, $30 ticket? $32 ticket. I mean, that's big time handicapping.
That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. I chastised her for singling Cannery Love, but worked out for her.
That man right there, what an afternoon. Good for Manny, and that's what you want. You want to be sought after and the media coming to you after days like this, because it means you did well.
Yeah, man, he's just a terrific rider, and as you say, an even better person, and it's great to see him get the win, and I'm really happy for he and his agent, John Panagot.
All right, we go back to Oaklawn, race 7 coming up next here, $30,000 maiden claiming sprint, 6 furlongs. And I know you have strong opinions about this race.
Greg, this is the race that you and I have been waiting for days. I don't know, are we even ready to reveal?
Stop. 7-2 favoritism.
You called me from England, said that's 7th at Oaklawn on Friday.
Santino's Fantasy right now is favored. Start number 4. This horse was 4th at this level in the mud last start. That's kind of field this is.
Yeah. Do I want the 5? The 5's a turn back. You know me. I can't resist. How about, wait, the 6 Brilliant Colors is not just a turn back, but is turning back synthetic to dirt. What could be a better angle for me? I'm 5s and 6s. There is some form in here. Any firsters getting bet? No.
Let's start our post right here with Moon Connection. So start number 2, at least a drop down. It was at Hawthorne against Straight Maiden's first time out.
Trainer is 4 for 27, maiden special weight to maiden claimer on the dirt.
2 horse next door, first time starter for Jason Barkley.
Just not taking any money for Jason.
13-1, Which on Geraldo. 6 Whips. Free Drop Billy, 3-year-old, who actually hit the board, ran 3rd at Delaware in a straight maiden race.
Listen, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised in this race, and this horse obviously has the form to be a factor.
10-1 next door, Bolt above Bolt Doro.
Does seem a little slow, is off the claim on the dirt with maidens. This trainer over the last 5 years, 1 for 19.
Prince of Roses, 4-1 here. Gennaro Garcia.
I would be taking the turnbacks, the 5 Prince of Roses and the 6 Brilliant Colors.
Yeah, horse has a second going longer against Maiden 50 at Churchill early on in his career. 7-2, Brilliant Colors. Here's the 6 for Steve Asmussen.
Yeah, I like the synthetic to dirt move for this one.
And son Keith in the irons. First-time starter with the 7. Little bit of money here, right? Thinking and drinking?
Maybe people are drinking and not thinking, and that's why they're betting. 1 foal from the stand was okay. 4 did no running. Osborne is a terrific new sire, but is a turf sire.
And here's the mild 7-2 favorite, Santino's Fantasy.
For Godfather fans, and you know what is really comforting to me? Unlike Saratoga, I'm actually sitting on the desk with somebody who's heard of the movie The Godfather.
Actually, one of my favorite movies of all time. I made my family rent the Blu-ray disc on my 11th birthday and sit through the whole, what's it, 3.5 hours?
On your 11th birthday, I'm proud of that. Really, my first R movie was The French Connection, but I'm a little older than you are. And hopefully Jonathan, I should have gotten Jonathan the disc of The Godfather for the holidays so he could watch it. Never seen it.
We'll get to him. He has not seen it.
You don't remember that?
Wow. Let's go to Paulie quickly.
That horse was in,
Wait, am I on? Because I'm stunned. Did you just say that J.K. has not seen The Godfather? Okay, I'll give him Godfather 3. That was like Andy Garcia. Give that away. But Godfather 1 and 2? Let's go. And my first movie was Stalag 17. Let's go back to a real movie. Okay, race number 7 here. I thought was a very, very tough race because with the scratch of the 8 here, Cambiosa, you know, the favoritism going to the outside runner, the 9. Now, I do think the 9 is live. I thought this horse would not be 15-1, but I also thought this horse was not going to be 7-2. You know, he ran on nicely last time on the mud. He's got gait issues, big-time gait issues, and it seems like he launches from way out of it. Now, he debuted for 20 on the Daniel Sander barn. Now Aaron Shorter has his horse, and this horse is taking more money than I thought here for Kylie Jordan. The 5 Princess of Roses and the 6. Andy was talking about the both cutback horses. I do like the Asmussen horse a tiny bit better. This horse did show speed with Keith 2 back with the blinkers on in a maiden 75. That was actually an okay race. 111.4 was okay at that time at Churchill. So I think the 6 could be up on the pace in here. I talked to the trainer of the 2, Jason Barkley. Jason and I go back a little ways. If you guys don't know, he was actually learned under Wesley Ward. And, you know, he told me, listen, the 2, he has trouble out of the gate, but he can run a little bit, and you might show up late. He goes, listen, I don't know if he can win this race, but maybe he can be at the bottom of this exotics with a horse that can maybe come flying late. And this 3 horse here is the 1 horse dropping from that maiden special weight down to 20. We always talk about that's the biggest drop in racing. I would think that's why this horse is taking a ton of money. But I'll go with the 6. I think Keith Asmussen and Steve Asmussen get it done. I did like the 9, but I can't take the 9 at 7-2.
Yeah, it's a short number on a horse. He's had a couple of opportunities, too, at this condition and has not made much of an impact. But it's kind of a race where you got to make some hard decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I would lean towards the 5 and 6, but it's a very tough race to have a strong opinion.
All right, to the man who has never seen maybe the greatest movie of all time.
Have you seen it yet, Jonathan? Come on.
Okay. You guys are getting me in a lot of trouble here with my Italian in-laws. Look, I have seen Godfather, but it was just a long time ago, and I was too young. I don't really remember. I need to watch it again. However, I end up having to watch The Real Housewives of wherever instead of watching, you know, so it's not my fault. I'll blame it on my fiance. I will watch it, I promise. I just haven't yet. So I like the 1 in here. I think the 1 Moon Connection makes a little bit of sense. Has some tactical speed from the inside. Maiden special weight dropping to maiden claimers. Now, that wasn't maiden special weight at Hawthorne, so you have to ask yourself, you know, what kind of differential are we dealing with talent with a maiden 30 at Oaklawn with big purses versus a maiden special weight at Hawthorne. I wouldn't think that it's the largest gap in the world of maiden special weight to maiden claiming races, but I do think Moon Connection from the inside. You get Tyler Bays, historically, who's good from the gate. And one of the things I like at these levels is I like horses with speed. Get out in front. Go to the front. Be aggressive. I think that's one of the biggest differences between maiden special weight types and maiden claimers is their heart, their determination to run by horses late. So if you get out in front of them, sometimes you just kind of can eliminate that. So I thought the 1 Moon Connection, taking the blinkers off on the inside, made a little sense. And then the 9 Santino's Fantasy, it just feels like they're overbetting this horse, right? I saw the trip. If you watched the replay last time, broke extremely slow, had a really bad trip. But one of my handicapping and horse playing mentors, Mike Maloney, has always said there's no bad trips in slow races. Yes, of course, it's a horrible trip and it's a bad trip, but the race wasn't fast. And even if the horse got a great trip, I don't know if that's enough for me to take 4-1 on the 9. Not going to be shocked if the horse wins. I just feel like a little bit overbet off of that trip in a race where it just doesn't feel like people know what they're going to do. But I don't know, Andy. I mean, maybe one night this summer we'll just stay in. We won't go out after the races, and we'll get some popcorn and we'll sit on the couch and we'll watch The Godfather together.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Why not?
I'm not watching it in Saratoga.
Reaching out to you as a friend.
First of all, he's so full of it. He's not having a single night in Saratoga that he's not going out. So right there, we know Jonathan was lying. I think Jonathan's nose grew when he came up with that lie over there. The guy's out more than I am.
There might be an occasional Monday night.
I don't buy it at all. I don't buy it for a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'd get it done before Saratoga.
Yeah, I don't know.
Paulie?
In the restaurant?
What's that, Paulie?
Well, here's the deal. Why don't we just settle this? You know, Salivo, obviously in Saratoga, pull out one of those jumbo screens and just play The Godfather at night. You guys can have a nice dinner. We all can have a nice dinner. Why don't we all watch it as a team? One night at Salivo. Well, I'll even get one of those blow-up theater things and we can play it. Solutions.
I don't even want to say anything about Paulie mentioning blow-up things, but, whatever.
I love that idea. Actually, I'm in. Count me in.
Oh, that's going to be your night out?
I'm all in for that.
One night out for you this summer. It's exciting.
Have a few bottles of wine. It's going to be a fun night.
A stream showing? You think like a big screen up on the street? You think they'll allow that on Philo Street?
I like it. That was a great call. We're going to make this happen. All right. So by the way, I agree with Jake. Moon Connection I thought was interesting. This horse has been wildly swinging in the odds. Was 8-1. Jumped up to 11-1, now back down to 6.
Well,
I think speed from the rail, dropping in class. Granted, it was Hawthorne, but showed some ability.
Oh, no. I don't see any reason to knock this horse. Horse is absolutely a player. 6-1 is very usable. I think the reason the horse is 6-1 is its low-profile connections. This is not a barn that wins a lot of races. And you've got a horse for Steve Asmussen. You got much more high-profile connections with other horses that are live. And I think that's keeping the price higher. But I don't disagree on the strict dope of this horse. The one raced Hawthorne showing speed, dropping down. A super logical horse. And I cannot argue with Jonathan. On this board, this horse is probably an overlay at 6-1. I mean, why is this horse? I mean, you could also do the same thing for the 3 dropping down, and you probably should. They're both drop downs. Timeform US has Moon Connections race rated very highly. Probably, I think, the best figure that anybody in this race has gotten. Correct.
Yeah, the other one you're talking about, 6 whips. 2 races against Maiden Special, including one at Oaklawn.
Yep.
Was 34-1 in that race.
But it was sloppy.
Got away last. But, showed some ability in the debut at Delaware.
Yeah.
From the rail. I'm surprised that horse is 6-1.
I think that the 1 is 6-1 because of the connection.
No, I'm talking about the 3.
The 3? I don't know. That's a good question. Both of those horses could be much shorter in here. I can't argue with that. I think just by very nature, you're supposed to be looking at the Maiden Special and Maiden Claimer drop downs, right? I mean, they usually take a lot of money. Wonder if they're getting this race off at any time soon.
And, as you would expect, and the horse is dropping too. The favorite, Steve Asmussen. The 6, Brilliant Colors. But horse has had 4 opportunities. Has continued to drop down the class ladder. This will be the lowest level yet.
I would take the 5. I would take the 5 in box 5-6. But I understand reasons like the 1. The 1 is now 4-1, by the way.
Wow.
So people are
late.
It's because of you, Greg. You buried Jonathan. The guy was getting 6-1, and you started talking.
Actually, was getting 8-1 for a moment. Got floated up to 11.
There is a lot of late money at Oaklawn, to say the least.
We'll see this potential that this is the quickest in the field.
Agreed. Supposed to be in front the 1.
Yeah. See if the Son of Connect can take him gate to wire. Post time for the 7th here from Oaklawn. 3-1 favorite, Brilliant Colors. Steve Asmussen, his son rides, was on synthetic last time out. One dropped down to 50. So essentially in dirt races dropping from 75 to 30. Vic Stauffer the call. Here's race 7 from Oaklawn.
Bolt Above and Santino's Fantasy. They're at the post. They're off. 6 whips broke well, and so did Bolt Above. Prince of Roses is close up. Moon Connection is at the rail. Then Santino's Fantasy, followed by Brilliant Colors, Thinkin' and Drinkin', and the trailer is Texas Ted, and the leader is 6 Whips. 6 Whips takes charge. He's a length and a quarter in front of Moon Connection in second. Then Bolt Above, third and about 4 from the front, 2.5 in front of Prince of Roses. Brilliant Colors has moved through at the rail for Keith Asmussen, 5th and about 5 from the front with Thinkin' and Drinkin'. Then it's 2 back to Texas Ted, and the trailer is Santino's Fantasy, and the leader is 6 Whips. 6 Whips has the lead, Moon Connection alongside, and a 3 wide Bolt Above. And these 3 look like they have it pretty much to themselves at this point. And 6 Whips has dropped back, and Bolt Above and Moon Connection are the 2 at the top of the stretch. 6 Whips is actually battling back. Then it's 5 lengths further back to Thinkin' and Drinkin' and Santino's Fantasy. Bolt Above has the lead. Bolt Above is a half length in front of Moon Connection, who battles on, in 6 Whips. But now Bolt Above is inching just clear, and he's a length and a half in front from Moon Connection and 6 Whips. It is Bolt Above in front. Bolt Above won a length and a half. Moon Connection was second. 6 Whips third, and Texas Ted finished 4th.
Bolt Above, this was an incredibly tough one to come up with. It had 2 starts on dirt at this level last time out. Granted, it was a Keeneland and took a little money, but did not show much at all.
I could have made a case for a lot of horses in this race, but I won't try to red board a horse like this after the race. The trainer's 1 for 19 off the claim with Dirt Maidens. Now he's 2 for 20.
Went off 7-2, by the way.
Off of that form? They knew. By the way, for those of you that like gallop outs, Texas Ted is on your list.
Really?
Yeah, he's on the gallop out list.
You're a changed man in 2023.
I didn't say I like gallop outs. I said for those of you that like gallop outs.
Greg,
I'd like to think I'm changing every day. I'd like to think I'm moving forward each day.
Public like this horse. Gosh.
7-2.
10-1.
I figured he was 15-1.
Yeah.
This horse.
Surprising. That is it for Andy. I'm going to be joined by Mig after a short timeout. Enjoyed it. Good to be back with you.
Nice to see you, and we'll have a lot of time together tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we'll have the Jerome for you on the road to the Kentucky Derby. That is our feature coming up tomorrow on our Saturday card. More from Oaklawn on the way. We're going to look back at victory formation. Now perfect 3 for 3 for trainer Brad Cox after that Smarty Jones win to kick off the new year. Stay with us. We'll be back. I'm joined by Mig right after this. We're back on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. I'm joined on set by the MIG, Richard Migliori. Saw him reporting earlier. Nice job. Got to talk to Manny Franco with that big day. He added another after you talked to him. 6-win afternoon for Manny.
Just, I could feel his energy after the 5th win and getting to talk to him. And I believe that horses feed on positive energy. And he went out there and all that energy and good vibes, and just a great job by him. Hard thing to do. Last person to win 6 in a day here was Dylan Davis. I know Ramon Dominguez had done it. I believe Angel Cordero. I know George Velasquez did it one day at Belmont. Very difficult feat.
You had done it, but he did it, but split between 2 tracks.
Well, so I won 6 in a day, but it was 4 here and 2 at the Meadowlands. I did win 5 several times, which was great, but 6 is like a whole step up.
We're going to get to Tampa Bay Downs. We're going to show you what happens here at race number 9 on the grass. $16,000 claiming race here coming up as they make their way to the starting gate. It's getting close to post time here. And as we take a look at the board, South Sea at 5-2 with Antonio Gallardo. 9-time winner, over shy of $370,000 in earnings. The one to beat, just was second at this condition last start.
Yeah, and he moved into the teeth of a pretty fast pace last time. Antonio Gallardo is one of those riders that I feel could pick any circuit and be successful at. He's found his niche. He winters at Tampa. He has experience with this horse now. And, I think riders ride horses better the second and third time they have that experience with them.
5-2 still, a horse who's just 1 for 12 lifetime on the lawn, but 80 Beyer in that runner-up finish and did have the lead in the stretch.
Yeah, and again, look at the fractions. 22 flat, 45-1, 109. It was a fast race, 134-1. And he kind of moved around the turn, hit the front, and was just ripe to be picked off late. Son of Into Mischief, he makes a lot of sense here. And again, Antonio Gallardo, having that experience with him, knowing what he has underneath him, probably be just a touch more patient this time.
Meanwhile, Bear Creek, the 3, taking some money, has only been on the turf twice. And the last time on the grass was really a non-factor. That was against a tougher field, but shown speed on synthetic. We'll see if that translates to the grass. It did not the last time he was on the lawn.
No, and now stretching back out to the mile, he's taking money. I prefer others. I do think the 5 South Sea is going to be very tough to beat. Major Sparks is taking money, your second choice, co-second choice, or co-favorite, basically, 5-2 also. You get Jose Ferrer, who is, to me, just like John Court, kind of an ageless wonder.
Jason Beam the call. Here's race 9 from Tampa Bay.
Moda Topic, South Sea, and Lucky Lover Boy going to be the final 3. We're just about set for a start. Today's 9th. Ready to close out day number 23 of the season. We're right at the quarter mark of our 92-day season here at Tampa Bay Downs. Lucky Lover Boy, Manny Jimenez to the outside draw. Goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Treasure Run in the purple colors, sent for speed. Franz Joseph is quick as well. Down on the inside, Fly Away. But Franz Joseph going to try to get over to the rails. They bend into the stretch and does so. Opens up a length and a half on Treasure Run in second. Fly Away is third. Colbros tugs up now to join that one in the third spot. From the outside, Lucky Lover Boy got over to the 4th position. It's another length and a half, then back to Sea Splendor. Bear Creek is back with South Sea. Moda Tabek, and after a bit of a slow beginning, Major Sparks is 3 lengths behind them. And at the back early on, about 12 lengths cover the group as Franz Joseph is the leader. The opening quarter in 23 1/5 seconds. They peel onto the backstretch. Franz Joseph a length and a tail in front of Treasure Run in second. It's 2 more back to Fly Away. Colbros still under stout restraint in that 4th position. Another length then back to Lucky Lover Boy. South Sea starts to move up in between runners and down along the inside. Bear Creek bottled up right now, but going to need somewhere to go. Then comes Moda Tabek. Sea Splendor with 1 beat early on, and that's still Major Sparks who trails. 47 seconds the time for the opening half mile. Franz Joseph goes to the far turn just over a length in front Up on the outside, Treasure Run in the second spot. Fly Away stays toward the inside. South Sea is starting to move. In between horses looking for room is Call Bros, who's fifth in those Bright Lime Silks, and only 3 off the lead of Franz Joseph, who comes to the quarter pole. Franz Joseph just over a length in front. Treasure Run, here's South Sea up on the 3 wide side, trying to come after this long time leader. Franz Joseph corners very wide. An opening on the inside for Fly Away. Bear Creek going to look for a seam and dive down toward the inside. Call Bros is still waiting to get through, and South Sea is starting to roll down the outside. Major Sparks is uncoiling from the back. Plenty of chances at the 16th pole. South Sea, here's Major Sparks, who was last down the backstretch and is going to be first at the wire. Major Sparks passed them all to win it. Second was Bear Creek. Third, Fly Away. Photo for fourth.
Wow, Major Sparks certainly closing best of anyone. Picks up the 6th win of his career on the grass. 6-year-old.
Looks like he just jumped in coming off the quarter pole. Jose Ferrer bided his time, very patient. He motored down the middle of the track, finished best of all. After a bit of a slow start, the 5 South Sea kind of hopped at the brake. Looked like he had dead aim, though, every opportunity. Just was not good enough, but no doubt about it, Major Sparks. And Jose Ferrer and I were apprentice jockeys together, and he's still getting it done.
It's a long career.
I haven't ridden in over 12 years. He's still doing it.
Wow, it shows you how alert you got to be. Look at that sharp left-hand turn.
Man, he ducked it. He could have ducked out right out from under him.
Dangerous situation there. Major Sparks with the win. Well, those prices for you when we come back. We're going to take a timeout. We'll return. Still have the feature to come out in Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Here comes Malathaat. Here comes Clairiere on the outside. They're coming to the finish, and it's going to be Clairiere. Nest, much the best. She won by better than 10 lengths. Cody's Wish on the outside. Cody's Wish with the upset in the Fargo. Malathaat grabs the lead in deep stretch, and Malathaat has won the Personal Ensign Stakes.
Curlin, the classic sire.
How do you become the gold standard in racing partnerships? One partner, one horse, one victory at a time.
Flight line, 20 lengths clear.
Congratulations to all our partners who have made West Point the gold standard for the last 3 decades.
Introducing a stallion, as top class as they come. In 22 career starts, he won or placed in 12 graded stakes, competing in 15 grade ones, earning over $1.7 million. His undisputed speed is evidenced by 7 100-plus Spire speed figures, a 3-time grade 1 winner, Raging Bull.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on FS2. Great look there. It's one of the best sights of racing anywhere in the country. That hotel at Oaklawn with those views coming down the stretch. Beautiful sight.
I love that picture too, because you've got a pair of bell boots on the rail there, and horses will train with those in the morning. Keeps them from kind of nicking themselves, their fetlock, or stepping on themselves. And obviously somebody's bell boot came off and they just put it up there on the rail for someone to kind of like you go off hiking and somebody drops a glove, you put it someplace and hang it so that if they come by they could find it again.
Or
I love that picture.
Souvenir for a fan maybe if they walk by.
Potentially, yeah.
We're going to get some more from Oakland. The last couple of races they have on the card, very competitive fields, which we'll get to coming up. So we look forward to both of those 2 races ahead. And we're also going to look on the Derby Trail, of course, New Year's Day. Started with the Smarty Jones. Victory Formation came in at a very short price, 2-for-2 record, put on the line, and Flavien Prat, able to jump to the front, take command, and never look back.
What I really like about this horse is that he's shown speed in his first 2 starts going shorter. Hit the front, and his ears came up, and he settled. So even though he was on the lead, he was rating himself on the lead. And that speaks volumes to have that kind of mentality for him to go on and potentially go further. I thought he was very impressive. I had doubts about how far he really wanted to go, and how he settled on the lead kind of dispelled any doubts I had about distance limitations for him.
He was not slowing down. First black type winner, by the way, for his sire Taprit. Brad Cox, Spendthrift Farm, Frank Fletcher Racing, and Prat, your winning connections on a horse. This is what you want, to have horses like this starting off your 3-year-old campaign the right way.
Well, you see top riders like Flavien Prat and so many others, they're going to start shopping around. They're going to try to get as many live 3-year-olds as they can and discern which one will give them their best shot for glory on the first Saturday in May. And the more, numbers count. The more you have, the more you can say, well, I like this one better than that one. Or if somebody gets injured or sick, you've got backups.
You want tough decisions to make.
Those are the best decisions to have to make.
By the way, 91 Beyer in that win for him. To do that beginning of your 3-year-old season with a long ways to improve and build from there, very positive sign.
Oh, he could take big steps forward. This is a time of year when these 3-year-olds are developing. Most of them aren't actually 3. Officially, all thoroughbreds turn a year older on New Year's Day, but most of them won't be actually 3 for a few more months.
Points on the line. Coming up on Saturday as well in New York. So we take a look at the upcoming road to the Kentucky Derby. Tomorrow, Jerome, we will have here from New York. Sham on Sunday. Then a little bit of a break until the Lecomte out at the fairgrounds. And back to work at Oaklawn in the Southwest with 20 points on line for the Lecomte in Southwest. But tomorrow, it's the ABR Race of the Week. The Jerome Stakes, 10 points to the winner to get into that starting gate that first Saturday in May to the Kentucky Derby. And a lot of runners with questions in here. Who will step up and take that next step on this Derby Trail? Arctic Arrogance, a little more experience than some in here, and has already proven at a mile distance against New York breds. Now, can he do it against Open Company? Obviously, it's Remsen, too. He battled.
Yeah, you got to like his Remsen a lot. I mean, he just fought every step of the way. Was outgained by WNL. He was very game. I like this effort. Bifrosted, Chester and Mary Broman breed such a good horse. Now he's a New York bred, but they breed good horses. They don't breed good New York breds. And he's got a good draw because he's a horse that possesses natural speed, but he's just outside what I think is the main speed, the 5 Andiamo Alferenz, who I don't think wants any part of a mile. So this gives Jose Lezcano the opportunity to use that horse as a target and wait for him to come back to him. I think his task would have been a lot more difficult if he was drawn inside of that horse.
Yeah, you would think. Big question marks for Andiamo Alferenz after that other showing at a mile. Granted, that was in the slop. But you have Lugan Knight in here as well. He's got to answer the question of can he get a mile distance. He's had 3 starts. Longest he's gone 6.5 furlongs, which is where he broke his maiden at Keeneland.
Yeah, and he's a horse that's been, just lurking just off the pace, sprinting. I think this is the next logical step. Mike McCarthy's not a guy who's going to ship to New York unless he has a lot of confidence in this horse, and this horse has shown ability. He's probably going to have to work out a trip with Dylan Davis because he's got the main speed surrounding him, basically. Even Valenzuela Day could have speed just inside of him. Obviously, Andiamo Alferenz, Arctic Arrogance, but I have a lot of confidence in his conditioner, Mike McCarthy. He's a guy who has trained good horses, worked with a lot of good horses with Todd Pletcher. He knows the kind of horse it takes to win these kind of races. I don't think he's coming here because he wants to see the Empire State Building.
Yeah, obviously had a big breakthrough in the Triple Crown Series, Ron Bauer in the Preakness. Very talented trainer, though. I think biggest names, maybe not quite at that level yet nationally with fans, but he's getting there and maybe one of the most respected trainers in the country.
Oh, absolutely. And horsemen respect him.
Yeah.
He's a horseman's trainer. He knows how to get it done. He knows what it takes. City of Light,
horse that comes to mind also. And, you know, I had a nice relationship with Mike when he was working for Todd. And when you talk horses with him, you know the guys that know what they're talking about.
See if he can make an impact here. Coming in from Churchill Downs last time out, Lugan Knight, one of many contenders in that Jerome on Saturday, 10 points to get into the winner, to get into that starting gate for this year's Kentucky Derby. We'll have live coverage of that race on our Saturday program on Fox Sports as we take a look at the current odds for a good one here. This 8th race at Oaklawn, 6-furlong sprint. First allowance condition race at Knocker Down. Wow, 1-9 right now for Brad Cox, who has been beat a couple of occasions recently by Tejano Twist, who we're going to see in the nightcap to come. Let's run some big figures. There's a couple of other interesting runners, though, who can give him a test. That is a short price. We'll have the late double and a post parade from the 8th when we come back.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Thanks for being with us on this Friday afternoon with the last two coming up out in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Races 8 and 9, both very good races with some talented runners. But we have 1-9 favoritism right now on the Brad Cox barn with Knocker Down. Outside post. We'll get to that one in a moment. We start with Vulcan. Vulcan ran a big race off the bench last start. Did have a lead and got run down late. That's the favorite, though, we're looking at. Back to Vulcan. Here's Vulcan. I thought room to build off that effort off the bench.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him he drew post one because he's kind of forced into making the running. I mean, there's other speed, but how do you give up your rail position? But Vulcan's honest, and he does have speed.
And Parador, big price, 35-1.
Yeah, more of a deep closer, would have to run a little bit faster than I've ever seen him run before, but he'd like to see things heat up on the front end.
Golden Hornet, precocious, won the first 2 starts of his career on dirt.
And this horse was game last time. It looked like he was going to be swallowed at the 8th pole, and he kept battling to be second.
'Tis hot and dusty at the same price next door.
Yeah, horse turning back in distance and hooks a salty group here, but he's got some races that would make him fairly competitive.
That'd be 3,000 for Robertino Diodoro should the 5 win. Ignitus, D. Wayne Lucas sends out.
Another horse that just feels like he'd have to run a little bit faster than he has in the past, but I never count the coach out.
Diamond City, 46-1. Horse has been primarily on the grass.
Yeah, didn't run so well last time when he was contesting the pace with Golden Hornet and stopped.
And Knocker Down just faced really tough company. We mentioned a couple of narrow defeats to Tejano Twist, who we'll see in the nightcap coming up. He'll be one of the horses to beat, and he gave him a test both times he faced him.
hard knocking, consistent sort that is well drawn outside. He's
looks great.
Yeah, I mean, when I talk about a horse looking like a coiled up spring ready to be released, that's the epitome of it right there.
Paulie, can we get past 1 to 5 here and knock her down? Looks the part right now.
Wow, is all I need to say. Is this horse looks the part. Now this horse came down here. And every time when they come down, right before they come to the camera, we have somebody that checks the chip on the horse to make sure that the horse is obviously the right name. If they're older horses, tattooed. Now, the chips were inserted about 3 to 4 years ago, so some older horses have them. Now, when this horse came down, he stopped on command. Had his ears pricked, no problem. Came out of the paddock, prancing. I mean, this horse cannot look any better on the surface here, knock her down. Now, I talked to the assistant trainer. This was a private purchase after the last race. And a horse that kind of got left a little bit, and like you said, got run down by Tejano Twist, which will probably be your favorite in the next race, unless they go for the 2 horse in there, Nobody Listens or Kavad, 2 very good horses. But when I look at the 9 knock her down, man, oh man, Iowa, October 2020 sale, they bought this horse for $2,600. Just shows you where you can get a great animal or a good animal that can run fast. And just the way he looked, it just, I mean, he wins the beauty contest and he runs those looks. He's going to win this race by a pole. If I was looking for some other horses in here to maybe look at, I do think the 4 Golden Hornet is getting just overlooked a tiny bit because he did show some speed and, you know, they went pretty fast. Now, Mrs. Beans came back not to run as well, and that was an off the it was also eligible. Mrs. Beans drew in that day, and he ended up winning the race. Now, he came back and didn't run well in his second start, so it makes the 4 a little leery for me. The one with Cipriano Contreras, I get it. I can't get by the 9 here, Greg. And I think you might see something here pretty special, to be honest with you, the way this horse looks.
I think we're all in agreement. I mean, our jaws dropped when we saw him. He looks tremendous. This horse, by the way, 2 back, 101 buyer in a dominant win at Churchill Downs. And that was a sloppy racetrack, but still showing you that he has that ability. Backed it up with a 97 buyer on a fast track in that narrow defeat to Tejano Twist. I think Tejano Twist will be the favorite in the nightcap.
Yeah. I listen, he makes a lot of sense on paper, and then you look at him from a physical perspective, and that's the double check mark, right? When they make sense on paper and then they're outstanding physical individuals. This is how I'm playing the race. I bet in a one-way exacta, 9-5. Dolly Parton it, 9-5.
Great movie. Good reference. JK, if you do like this 1-5 favorite, how do you try and make some money here?
Yeah, I think you try to play some doubles, right? I mean, if you have an opinion, playing the exacta is great. My brain has kind of, because of the age of pick 4s and pick 5s, my brain has kind of changed to this where I can see things winning. I feel so when I play. That's why I like to play doubles. I like to try to pick who's going to win. I sometimes struggle. It used to be something I did, I think, a little bit more often, but I struggle figuring out who's going to run second or third. I like to be in line with trainer and rider intent. It's very similar to in football. I hate betting football teams -4.5 because no one cares about -4.5 except for you and I. I'd like to have the alignment with coach and player, if that makes sense. So for me, I would play some doubles possibly into the 2 and the 7. Tejano Twist and the 2. Nobody Listens in the last.
So 1-5 here, and yeah, if you are looking at those doubles, and I was just doing the same, 2 Nobody Listens, if you're using singling knocker down here, $10 for the basically dollar double, $5, $3 on the 7 Tejano Twist.
Okay,
for $1. Better than 1-5.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's how you're trying to get basically 2-1, right?
Yeah. Well, if you're using, but you could make it. What did you think in the last? I mean, did you think Tejano Twist was the one to beat? I agree with Jonathan. I thought Nobody Listens had a big look as well.
Well, he's speed, so he's going to create his own trip. And even though there's some other speed sign on here, in the last, it's not the kind of speed you're seeing in this race. So Tejano Twist is a closer. He's got to work out a trip, and he's not going to get maybe the kind of torrid pace he got last time. I mean, I don't see it. Maybe Chat-A-Lot keeps him company. I like the 2, Nobody Listens. And that's kind of the story of my life. Nobody listens.
That is not true. Come on, Mig. When Mig talks, you're like E.F. Hutton. People absolutely listen. Jonathan, this whole show has been talking about all the things he's learned from you.
I think that's mutual. I think that's one of the fun things about working with all of you. We all bring a little bit of a unique perspective, and sometimes you'll say something that I didn't think of it quite like that. Or Jonathan, I think it's just a great mesh of people that we're exchanging ideas.
That's why it's so beneficial, and I totally agree with you. But whoever you handicap with, or even if you just have a group of friends, you don't even talk it out sometimes. You just go play the races. It's so beneficial to actually talk it out together, because you will see reasonings and things you didn't think of that makes you see the races a little more clearly.
Well, how many times last summer in the office with you and Paul and saying, I kind of like this horse, and then you might say, well, this horse paired up this number, and Paul said, I really like this horse. And we hit a lot of exactas last summer just kind of throwing ideas around together up there.
It really is helpful. If you have the ability to do that, bounce ideas off each other, just to say things out loud, I think it really helps your handicapping. 1-5 favoritism, been as short a price as could be pretty much throughout. Actually opened at 1-9, Knock Her Down. So we'll see if he can run to his looks. There he is. He's looked tremendous throughout.
It reminds me of those old Jack LaLanne commercials where the big muscle-bound guy be kicking sand on the thinner, skinnier guys on the beach.
See if he can beat up on this field. He's been impressive. Really, I mean, aside his last 4 outings on dirt, they've all been stellar. One bad race in there was on the grass, so throw that one out.
I bet our office up in Saratoga is pretty cold right now.
I haven't even looked. It's gotten below 0 there?
I don't even think it's that cold, but that was that cement. It was cold even when it was warm out.
You're right about that. Vic Stauffer, 8th from Oaklawn. Knock Her Down from the outside post, the 9, the heavy favorite.
They're off. Not a great start for Knock Her Down, but he's in gear now and goes after the front alongside Golden Hornet and Tis Hot and Dusty. Diamond City up in 4th. Then comes Imperador and At the Rail. Vulcan's on the move. The trailer down the backstretch is Ignitus. So up the backstretch now and At the Rail, it is Golden Hornet just in front of Knock Her Down. Tyler Bays and Golden Hornet a half length. Knock Her Down is kept to the clear and in the 2-path. He's a length and a half in front of Diamond City and Vulcan. Tis Hot and Dusty had to tap on the brakes leaving the backstretch. He's 5th now and about 4 from the front. He's 3 in front of Imperador, and the trailer is still Ignitus, and here is Knock Her Down between horses. Joined by Diamond City to the outside and Golden Hornet at the rail. Knock Her Down, now a neck in front. Diamond City trying to go with him. Golden Hornet is still there at the rail. 3 back to Vulcan, then Imperador, and Golden Hornet is giving this favorite all he wants. Knock Her Down outside, Golden Hornet inside, and they come to the final 16th right together, and Golden Hornet has retaken the lead. Knock Her Down is back to 2nd, and he's not going to get by Golden Hornet in front. Golden Hornet beat Knock Her Down. Imperador was 3rd and Ignitus 4th.
Golden Hornet holding off the odds-on favorite, Knock Her Down, who at mid-stretch it looked like was in trouble, just not able to get by this one.
Yeah, Golden Hornet showed that will to fight last time. It looked like he was going to be swallowed by the field, and he fought back to be 2nd. He got comfortable, loose on the lead, and your favorite had every opportunity to get by him, Knock Her Down, and just could not get by a fighting Golden Hornet and Tyler Bays, who's had a lot of in the money finishes, but gets his first win, the lion's share of a $104,000 pot. The other thing, too, is Knock Her Down kind of lugging in a little bit. Sir Florent Drew having to kind of correct him a couple times, but Golden Hornet, he wanted it, and he got it done.
No gimmies in this sport. 1-5 favorite. Unable to get by Golden Hornet. That's a big defeat. 6-1, Golden Hornet. Wow. Take a time out. We'll have the prices for you when we come back. The features still to come from Hot Springs, and that's where we will see Tejano Twist trying to make it 3 consecutive wins for trainer Chris Hartman. And we'll also talk tomorrow's Pippin. Top 3 finishers from the Mistletoe, ready to do battle again. Can Lovely Ride get the money one more time?
War Dancer. The momentum continues with recent stakes winners on turf and dirt. Dancing Buck going wire to wire in the Grade 3 Belmont Turf.
Dancing Buck has opened up on the field. It is Dancing Buck by a half dozen lengths.
And 2-year-old filly War Saichi with a wire-to-wire win in the Ladyfinger Stakes.
War Saichi asserted her authority immediately out of the starting gate, and she has not relinquished the lead.
War Dancer, the #1 third-crop turf sire in North America. Proud to stand in New York.
This season at Oaklawn, we've got more of everything. More of the top thoroughbreds in the world. More days of live racing. And the largest purses in our history. All at a completely reimagined Oaklawn. Come be a part of this historic season at Arkansas's only casino resort.
The Run Happies are running, the Run Happies are selling, the Run Happies are winning. Eclipse champion Run Happy is showing a new dimension with winners on turf, dirt, and all weather. A record-breaking sprint champion, Run Happy is also showing winners at all distances, from 7 furlongs to 1.25 miles. A sire whose runners can carry his speed over all distances and all surfaces. Run Happy, price for value, and standing strong at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We're back on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage. Good to have you with us. It's brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. As we get set for the nightcap coming up at Oaklawn. Huge 1-5 favorite defeated. This 9-horse Knocker Down looked like just poised to roll right on by, but Golden Hornet digs in and refuses to give up the lead.
Yeah, showed that desire and tenacity last time when he fought on to be second. And just was not going to let Knocker Down get by. And Knocker Down, he broke okay, but he had every opportunity, and he just could not get by Golden Hornet. Good ride from Tyler Bays and Larry Ravelli, a trainer who gets it done consistently year after year.
14-20 for the win. Paulie standing by with a winning rider.
Yeah, I am standing by with winning rider Tyler Bays. Tyler and I go way back down to California. Tyler gets his first win of the meet, well deserved. And you told me that you learned a little bit about Golden Hornet in his last start.
Yeah, last time I rode him, he had blinkers on, but he didn't have holes in him, so he couldn't see the horse that was about 5 wide. Otherwise, he probably would have won that day. So I asked him, put some holes in the blinkers, and around the turn, it was a good feeling to have so much horse under me.
Well, you knew, obviously, the Brad Cox horse would be breathing down your neck. Did you ever have a worry that you had him put away, Tyler?
Around the turn when I asked mine just a little bit, and he really responded. I could hear Thrawn asking his, and I just knew I had more horse in him.
Well, I got one thing to say to you. Richie Migliore wants your address. Do you want to know why?
Why?
He says he wants to send you a pack of razors.
Very funny.
winning jogger Tyler Bays gets the job done. You bet Tyler here with Golden Hornet.
Got it. Hey, beard helps you stay warm in that cold weather coming down the stretch.
I like Tyler. I rode with him a bit in California, and just a good hard rider, allows horses to really run up underneath him, and just wanted to give him a little grief about his beard.
Good for him. Yeah, it's a very good rider to get on the board here. It's got a good feeling, too, to get that first win under your belt at a new spot.
Well, horses have been running well for him. He's hit the board with a lot of horses that outran their odds. So, you've got to break through. He did. He's a good rider. You're not going to keep him down, that's for sure. And honestly, this morning, I had just as much of a beard as him.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't work in a week, so I was up in the mountains.
I've never seen this. Yeah, you got to show some photo proof. We're going to get to the nightcap coming up. The 9th, very good one at Oaklawn. Allowance optional 80 race. 6 furlong sprint. We've been talking a lot about Tejano Twist, including at the very beginning of the show. He's trying to win 3 in a row. He's put up some huge numbers his last 2 starts. 8-5 favor right now. Francisco Arrieta for Chris Hartman. He does his work from off the pace.
Yeah, he's a deep closer. He's that true closing sprinter. I love those one-run sprinters, those horses that drop out and they come with this big late charge. There's speed in here. I don't know that there's enough speed to complement that deep closing style, though.
All right, we'll talk more about it in a moment. We're going to look ahead to Saturday's card feature. Saturday from Oaklawn for fillies and mares in the Pippin. And as we talked about going to break, it is a rematch of the top 3 finishers from that Mistletoe back on December 10th that we were all surprised. Lovely Ride actually got the lead, was able to go gate to wire, and that's the trip that a lot of us thought Coach was going to get from the inside. But Coach really was not asked for a lot out of the gate.
No, it was a tale of 2 trips. Lovely Ride got the aggressive ride from Christian Torres, who's been riding lights out at Oaklawn Park, winning it better than 24%, and was able to continue. Coach worked out a trip, but I think her best go is when she makes the lead and she gets to kind of control things on the front end. And if she's going to be successful and turn the tables, she's going to have to use that speed. And listen, we can't count out La Divita, who was your favorite last time, coming off of 2 big wins, and was the first time she encountered an off racetrack in her entire life. And she never looked comfortable to me, never was traveling. I think she gets a fast track, you'll see the best of her.
Yeah, and as you can see, hasn't scared her away, at least in the morning line. She's 2-1 in the morning line, going to take plenty of support. Yeah, I want to see her do, if she could do what she did first couple of starts in the stage, on a fast track. This was a look to October 29th. This was at Keeneland. She'd won the States debut at Churchill, then backed it up with this performance.
Yeah, and showed that, the first race pointed out she could run, and then this was a step forward. And again, last time hooking a racetrack she just never seemed comfortable on. Now you see she's a little bit of an awkward running filly, lingering on her left lead. And those horses generally tend not to handle off going when they don't have those perfect mechanics. You don't have to have perfect mechanics to be fast, but I do think it helps you handle racetracks that are less than stellar.
Victor Chaminade will ride for Nacho Correas, one of many contenders in this race. We'll see if there's different tactics with Coach, because that could make a big difference for her.
Well, and the one thing, too, the way that, she's run her best races, and the way Brad Cox's horses run, they keep finding air. You want to let them use their speed and make it a test of stamina. Now, Joe Talamo had that experience with her. I think they'll probably get their heads together and say, I think our best go is to let this filly use her speed. I just don't understand last time why they weren't as aggressive, especially with the inside draw.
Yeah. Meanwhile, from the inside, Traverse, Street Sense filly. Riley Mott taking over training duties and comes in having won back-to-back starts. 75 maiden claiming win at Churchill. And then backs it up first time against winners with an improved Beyer speed figure. So a filly on the rise and now getting the toughest test of her career.
Yeah, but I like the way she rounded into form, and she ran on synthetic first. Now 2 for 2 on dirt, has improved from the first start to the second. She's inside, and she has speed. And I don't think Francisco Arrieta is bashful about allowing horses to show speed.
We'll see what her game plan is. Did win sitting off the pace, so it's not like she's one-dimensional by any means.
No, but that's a one-turn mile. They went 22 and change, 40, basically 45 flat. Going 2 turns, you got to run to that turn. And if somebody wants it, make them use themselves, create separation. It gives you options.
Yeah. It's race 9 on that card tomorrow. Wide open group. Should be a good wagering race. We'll have live coverage for you on our Saturday card on America's Day at the Races. We have a good one still coming up to close out this Friday card here. And, we talked about Tejano Twist. Nobody listens, though. Plenty of support for this horse, who has been first or second in 15 of 18 lifetime starts. Comes off back-to-back wins, including a 100 Beyer speed figure last time out at Horseshoe Indy.
He's speed. He's going to create his own trip. He's inside. I think he's going to be very tough to run down here.
Seven Nation Army. He's got some speed next door as well. We'll see if he can put some heat on him. Tejano Twist, though, he is the one to beat. Trying to make it 3 straight, pick up the 6th win of his career. He does again his running from well off the pace. Stakes winner last time we saw him. See if he can make it 3 in a row coming up.
The industry has a few things that we have to take care of better, and one was the aftercare of the horses.
If we did nothing, these horses would end up in very bad places.
Go back to where we were years and years and decades ago when it was just considered de rigueur that you could just send these horses to slaughter.
It's different than any other program that was put into place.
I remember that meeting at Belmont Park. It was a dream.
It is a first line of defense for those who are concerned about what happens to the equine athlete after he's done racing.
Without the TAA to provide that oversight, there would be a big void in terms of making sure that we have this ongoing safe environment for our off-the-track racehorses.
We started with some 21 organizations across the country, and now we're up to over 82 facilities throughout the country and giving away almost just under $25 million.
It's the one shining accomplishment that we have that we can point to say we really do love our horses.
Just the word aftercare has become part of the discussion, has been part of the vernacular in a way that it was not when I started this position around the start of 2013.
It's a daunting task that the TAA and its accredited organizations have taken on. And that's why the industry itself has got to fund it.
Every time I turn around across the country, you know, the TAA staff is there, and they're shaking hands and they're kissing babies, and they're doing the blocking and tackling right that needs to be done.
We have a social responsibility to make sure that thoroughbred aftercare is also #1 on the list.
The post, the barrier, the stalls, the iron monster, the starting gate. There's so many key and important times in a race where jockeys have to make quick decisions, when to move, when to sit, wait behind horses. But to me, one of the most critical times in a race is leaving the starting gate. If you don't break cleanly, you can get shuffled back, taken out of position, and it's hard to get a horse in a good rhythm. Starts are so important. I want you to know what goes on inside the starting gate. Come on with me.
What are we doing?
Hey, wait for the truck.
All right.
Yeah.
Key to breaking sharp from the gate is having your horse warmed up, alert, but settled. You want them relaxed. We've got a great gate crew here in New York, and they know all the horses, their habits, what to expect. Put them in the gate, get them square, looking down the track, and be ready to go.
Try to get as relaxed as I can on my horse before we go in the gate, and once I get in there, I want to let him walk in and take a deep breath and make sure the gate guy get up, because I want to make sure he starts setting his feet correctly. And you know, the ones that's going to sit in there and be still, but I just want to keep it as relaxed as I can going into the gate with the horse, where the horse can feel like he's going to do his job. I'm going to just stay out of his way.
You get one that cuts right to the gate, sometimes they'll balk. It's a kind of a closed space. Some horses are a little claustrophobic. Important to pick up your feet so you don't get your legs caught on the side of the gate. You could feel their energy. Sometimes you'll feel their heartbeat beating on your leg. Again, want to keep them relaxed, settled, get them square. The assistant starters are so good at getting the horse nice and balanced. Sometimes you get one that's leaning a little too far, you'll take your leg, push off the petition, get them where you want them to be. Looking down the racetrack, all 4 legs square on the ground. Last horse gets ready to go in, you're going to take your half cross, take a piece of mane, one hand, other hand free in case horse breaks left or right, you can correct them, and you're going to be leaving here in a hurry.
Well, a lot of people wait on the guys to say 1 out to get all set and ready. You know, I'm not, you know, you can hear the guy say 1 out, but I'm mostly paying attention to the guy with the button. That's how I break so fast out the gate, you know. I'm a button guy, you know. Or I listen to the last door sound and the button. And after that, early position wins the race most of the time.
So many moving parts that make a horse break well or break poorly. It's important to have great communication between the rider and the assistant starters as well as the official starter, and working with the trainers to make sure that if a horse is a little bit nervous, they school them, they get them where they're relaxed around the gate. It's not always the horse that's the most keyed up that breaks the best. It's the horse that's alert and settled and balanced in the gate. Then you can leave the gate in a hurry.
Such a great piece. You did such a nice job with that and all these technical aspects to it. Mentally, though, what are you thinking as you load in there?
Well, in that moment or in general?
In general as a rider.
Well, again, you want your horse focused, and you're talking about a 1,000-pound animal, and the key to breaking cleanly and straight is having them square, all 4 feet, weight distributed evenly. Because if a horse is leaning too much weight on one side or the other, they've got to reset and shuffle. And that's that instant where you don't break as clean, as sharp. And horses are like water. They tend to run to empty space. So if you break a half a step slow, a lot of times they're going to take that space away from you. So again, having them balanced is the key.
I love that piece. You got more for us in store this summer, Saratoga? Something new?
Oh, we'll come up with something new. The one thing that I wish that had been different, and the guys did an amazing job with the piece, was my own kind of emotions got a little bit the best of me because I hadn't been on a thoroughbred racehorse in 12 years. And then to be sitting on one going into the starting gate, I wish that I could have been just a little bit more relaxed about it, but I had a lot of emotions going on there.
Great job, Mig. I love that piece. 9th coming up's feature at Oaklawn, and we talked about Nobody Listens to 2, his speed. He's going to try and steal this one on the front end. He's 5-2 right now, but Tejano Twist, we know, is going to be making his presence felt late in the race.
Closing sprinter, exciting type of horse to ride, and used to love to ride those kind. Take their time the first 3/8, but come motoring late.
Now let's take a look at him in action. I mean, he's put together back-to-back numbers that should win this race, but again, each race is different, and pace setup, it's going to be difficult for him potentially this afternoon. This is a look at his stakes win.
Yeah, and again, he's a horse that comes with that huge late run. I mean, trying to pick him up here now.
Here he comes
far
outside.
Just gets up in the shadow of the wire. But 21-3. 44-4. I mean, he got real pace to run at. There's speed in here. And riders at Oaklawn are not bashful about allowing horses to use their speed. But I just don't think anybody's as naturally fast as Nobody Listens.
All right, we will find out. I mean, I think Seven Nation Army is not slow.
Yeah, he's not slow, but his last couple of efforts, I thought he might have lost a little step of speed where previously it's shown more. I think the 10 maybe holds the key to this, the Steve Asmussen runner, Chat-A-Lot. This is a horse that has shown high speed. Sometimes being drawn outside psychologically, a rider won't have as much urgency, right? They'll allow their horse to run and show speed, but they're not basically sending them because they don't have any outside pressure.
And, there's an X-Factor horse in this race. This is a horse who had a big-time talent. Canadian Pride, he's 16-1 the 9. He missed by a neck to Dr. Shivel, who, of course, your Breeders' Cup Sprint winner.
Yeah.
He had the lead on him late in the stretch. He had a 101 buyer and a win at Santa Anita on the West Coast early February. He's gone backwards since. I don't know what has happened to him, but he doesn't seem like he's the same horse.
No, it doesn't. His last start, he was claimed at Santa Anita, was subpar effort for him, and then he threw in a real bad one at Turf Paradise the first time off the Robertino Diodoro claim.
Here comes our post-parade finale from out in Hot Springs. And Touch Revenge is going to kick things off here. Blinkers going on from the inside post. This is an 11-time winner, but might need to find more against this group.
7 of those 11 victories, though, were on the turf, and he feels like he's just a little bit better on the turf, and he's hooking a salty group here.
He really is. He just missed against Necker Island on dirt. That was sprinting with a 90 buyer. So he has ability on the surface. We'll see him here in a moment. Favoritism staying with Tejano Twist, has been the favorite throughout. Closing sprinters are fun to watch. We had a fun one that we got to watch Saratoga a couple of seasons ago. Bell's the one. came from so far out of it and was such a talented sprinter for Neil Pessin. And this horse probably comes even further back than she does.
Yeah, and I used to love to watch Corey Lanning ride her, the confidence he had in that kick of hers.
So here's Touch Revenge. We were just talking about 11 wins overall from 41 starts. Blinkers on today.
Honest, hardworking horse, 11 for 41 lifetime, adds blinkers, earned nearly $500,000. Just think he's in kind of deep here.
Nobody listens. 5 to 2 second choice. He is quick.
He's speedy, and he's inside, and he looks good. And if I can hold that 5 to 2, that's where my money's going. They got to catch him.
He is on his toes today. Here's 7 Nation Army. He used to be very quick, but as you mentioned, last couple of starts, he has not shown it.
It feels like maybe he just lost a little bit of a step at 8.
Kavod, he has tackled some very good ones, including Flash of Mischief the last couple.
He's also a horse that's quick. I think he'll be more stalking position.
He's my Honey Badger, been first or second in 9 of his 13 starts.
He was claimed last time for an expensive claiming tag, $80,000 by Joe Sharp from Brad Cox.
Here's the favorite, Tahano Twist, trying to make it 3 in a row.
Closing sprinter, exciting type, comes with his run, honest, definitely the horse to beat, needs to work out a trip.
Lycan, 3 for 34 lifetime.
And a horse that just feels like it'd have to find a race better than anything we've seen before, again, because just a particularly salty group.
Canadian Pride, this horse who just missed against Ventral Breeders' Cup Sprint winner Dr. Shivel.
You go back to that race in the San Carlos was good before the allowance win, but he's got to get back to that.
And Chat-A-Lot, more speed outside. Steve Asmussen, he has Isaac Castillo to ride.
He's quick, and he could hold the key to how this race is run, depending on how much speed he shows and the pressure he puts on the 2. Nobody listens.
Paulie, I know a lot of anticipation for this race early on. It's a good one to close things out.
He really is a great race to close things out. Most of the time when you get to the last race of the day, it's a maiden claimer or a lower level claiming race. This is a very difficult race and some nice runners in here. You talk about the 2, nobody listens. I mean, listen, when you win 9 out of 18 races, 50% of your races, in your second 6 of those times, you're a flat-out runner. And this Indiana bred by Conveyance is very good, $364,000 in the bank. Now, you know, everybody always says, okay, is this horse going to get in a speed duel? There's a lot of speed in here. Well, I'm sure that's happened in a lot of his other races, yet he still gets the lead. I mean, if you look, his second line, he had not had the lead one time, and that was on the turf course. So if you draw a line through that, he has never not had basically the lead on a fast track on the second call. He didn't one time on an off-the-turf event on a muddy racetrack, but on a fast racetrack, he's always had the lead at the first call. I do think Kavod, the 4, is the horse that maybe, does he play, you know, a little bit of shake and bake? Is he the one that softens up the 2 for the 7 in here? Tahano Twist, who's going to be launching from way out of it. That's my only worry. I think the 7's the horse to beat in here, but the 2 is a win machine. The 4, like you said, Greg, is runs against the back class. Now, if one of those 2 gets left and gets away from this group, you said 7 Nation Army. I just don't know if anybody can run with those 2. But if it turns into a speed duel, then the 7 obviously is a major player. But I have a feeling the 7 is going to be really far back. And then, Greg, you know, great minds think alike. I think Canadian Pride, the 9, is the long shot in here, most definitely. You just don't run 100 and some odd buyers, run 3rd in the San Carlos. California Speed has been working here. Robertino Diodoro looking for his 3,000th win. 17-1 seems pretty spicy. I'm going to tentatively go with the 7 Tahano Twist because I think there might be a speed duel. But I'll tell you right now, 2-1 on a horse that's won 9 out of 18 and nobody listens is pretty tempting.
It is, and, you know, to go back to Canadian Pride, even if one of those 2 favorites, you know, top 2 choices do win, you have 17-1 underneath. That's how you can create some value in here.
No doubt. And listen, Robertino Diodoro needs no introduction. Sitting 1 away from 3,000 career victories. It's a huge number for a trainer.
You know, back to the 4, Kavod, that Paulie brought up. Talk about who he's faced. So Flash of Mischief beat him last time out. Flash of Mischief, in 2 of his last 3 starts, 104, 103 buyer in victories. His only defeat in that 3-race span was the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Bango, who's coming back this year with a chance to become the all-time win leader in the history of Churchill Downs. Jack Christopher, Cyberknife, Newgrange. I mean, these are big names he's been facing.
3 back, he beat Tejano Twist.
Yeah.
Tejano Twist was third to him.
9-2 right now in Kavod.
Doesn't it feel like with Tejano Twist that he really kind of found his stride with Chris Landaros aboard? He learned something about him the day he was third to Kavod, and then he came back with 2 huge victories. Maybe he's a horse that can be a little bit tricky, and obviously Francisco Arrieta is a terrific rider. But it is his first experience with this horse, too.
How difficult is it when you were in this kind of a situation, being in a sprint on a horse who likes to come from so far out of it, to try and time things right? Was it difficult, or did you just naturally let the horse take you into things?
No, I think it's more difficult the first time you ride a deep closer, kind of understanding how strong their kick is, how long their run is, when to kind of start to launch that run. Some horses need to build into it more than others. Some are instant. Now, you can watch video and you can talk to the connections, but until you've actually had that experience, these are the trickiest kind to ride.
But do you just kind of get that feel in the race that, okay, he wants to go now, this is the time to make the move?
Yes. I mean, you got to trust that feel they give you, that relationship. But it's different than like riding a speed horse that you just kind of get out of their way and be a good passenger. In this situation, you've got to be a good pilot.
There's the big long shot who has some races on the resume that if he could run back to him, he's right in the mix. The problem is, I mean, he has gone absolutely backwards, notably really his last 2 starts, including a minor stakes race at Turf Paradise when he just didn't show up.
No, and that's the disconcerting part of this. But here's the upside of it. The fact that Robertino Diodoro ships him here to Oaklawn. Obviously, he could have kept him at Turf Paradise. He has options. He has divisions elsewhere. And the horse appears to be training well at Oaklawn Park.
Yeah, puts him in a tough spot here at Oaklawn. So obviously the confidence from Diodoro that he has the ability to still be effective in a spot like this. 8-5, Tejano Twist. On your screen now, trying to make it 3 straight. Will launch a bid from extremely far back. Will he get that pace to run into? You would think he would. Nobody listens, though. The 2 could be alone in front. There are some other speeds in the race. We'll see how aggressive he is out of the gate.
Well, that's who I landed on, the 2. Nobody listens. I hope that I get the 5-2 that he's at right now. He's quick. He's inside. Horse that's consistent, shows up, runs hard every time.
We'll take a look at him back on November 23rd in his career best performance.
He was 1-5, 20 cents on the dollar here. See him lingering on his left lead there. Does he ever change? Although he didn't need to, right? He was just kind of cruising. Beautiful gray horse. The rider comes that's been riding him, has a lot of confidence in him. Yeah, even though he didn't change leads, his stride really wasn't deteriorating. He ran through the wire, and a lot of times when you see a horse lingering on the wrong lead, they're shortening up,
yeah.
and they win, but it's not pretty. I didn't see that there.
He's just been remarkably consistent, not just like Paulie talked about in terms of getting to the front, but in terms of where he finishes too. We talked about his 9 wins from 18 starts, but 15 of his 18 lifetime starts, he has been first or second in his career.
Yeah, and it's interesting in that just from a pedigree standpoint, obviously, he's a half to American Cotton, another horse that consistently showed very high speed. Those are the only 2 from this mare to race, and she's thrown some fast horses.
Post time for this race was originally scheduled for 4:22 Central Time, so a little behind here.
They march to the beat of their own drum there.
Yes, they do. 6-5 favorite, Tejano Twist. Can he get it done here, make it 3 in a row? And look, that's a good point you brought up, that he really, and he did. I mean, there's no question. He turned the corner with Chris Landaros aboard the last couple of starts, and now it's Francisco Arrieta, who at least he's been on him, however.
Well, this is true. That was, on the turf. He didn't show a lot on the turf that day. I think there's, at a very short price, there's questions here. And listen, he's a very talented horse, and I love those closing sprinters. My favorite horse I ever rode in my entire career was a mare called Island Charm, who was, that one-run closing. And she actually was high weight on the experimental free handicap before they had an Eclipse Award for champion sprinting female. That was basically your champion, and she led that list, and she would come from out of the clouds.
Be fun to watch however it plays out with the running style of Tahano Twist. The 7 in here, trying to make it 3 straight, will launch from extremely far back. 5 times best in his career, but in the form of his life. Can Nobody Listens to 2 get to the front? Take him gate to wire. Vic Stauffer with the finale and the feature from this Friday card from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Nobody Listens broke beautifully, goes to the front from Seven Nation Army and Cavad. Canadian Pride is in the firing line. So is Chattelot, 5 right across the racetrack. Tut's Revenge is next. Then comes Lycan and He's My Honey Badger. And the trailer is the stretch running Tahano Twist. It is Nobody Listens, the leader, into the far turn. He's a length and a quarter in front of Cavad, Canadian Pride, and a 4-wide Chattelot. Seven Nation Army is 5th with 4 lengths to make up. He's 3 in front of Tut's Revenge. Then comes He's My Honey Badger. He's got 9 to make up. Tahano Twist is starting to unwind, and he moves through at the rail. He's also 9 off the lead, which is held by Nobody Listens. Nobody Listens, a quarter mile from home, and a length and a half in front of Cavad in second. Tahano Twist catches the eye. He's moved up to mid-pack. He's angling in the center, and he's got a lot of forward momentum. Nobody Listens leads. Cavad is in second. Seven Nation Army, Tut's Revenge, and here comes Tahano Twist to split horses, and he is on the move. Nobody Listens. Seven Nation Army. Tahano Twist now within a length of the lead, and here he comes. Tahano Twist. Nobody Listens. Seven Nation Army. Tahano Twist. Yes. Tahano Twist ran down a threesome for second. Tut's Revenge, Seven Nation Army, or Nobody Listens. Any one of those 3 could have finished second.
He is fun to watch do his thing. He had a lot of work to do in this race. It's 3 straight for this 4-year-old.
What a nice closing sprinter this is, and I love the ride Francisco Arrieta gave this horse. Was patient, picked his way through the field, was far back, but saved ground and took advantage of every opportunity that presented itself. You've got out a horse that can accelerate and make those gaps, but what a nice ride, and what a nice horse. Tahano Twist really found his niche with that closing sprint.
And he won comfortably in this race, too.
I at the 8th place, I said, he's home. The way he was moving. Wow.
Doing it easy as could be. This horse in terrific form right now. It's fun to watch those closers launch from so far back. And this horse, exciting. Hopefully we get to see a lot more of him at this meet. We've got a long meet still ahead of us at Oaklawn. Back tomorrow on the road to the Derby with the Jerome. We'll see at 2:30 Eastern start time on our FS2 coverage. It was Bourbon Calling in the feature in the nightcap at Oaklawn today. 6-win day for Manny Franco. How about that? What a performance from the man of the afternoon here in South Ozone Park. Tomorrow, back on the road to the Derby in the Jerome. Arctic Arrogance, winner at a mile distance against New York Breds. He'll try and do it against Open Company for Linda Rice and Jose Lezcano. Neural Network, lightly raced for Chad Brown. Brilliant in his debut. Takes on winners for the first time.